These teams are no strangers to each other and to championship football. Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union have faced each other in the Stag Bowl for the Division III National Championship in each of the last 2 seasons and all but twice since 2004. However, that matchup won't repeat this year. Which of our Stag Bowl regulars will advance to the 2015 National Championship game? It's the Warhawks and Purple Raiders in the Division III semifinal, coming at you right now on ESPN. The NCAA Division III Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Championship feeling, to be sure, inside Mount Union Stadium on the campus of the University of Mount Union in Alliance, Ohio. Are you set? 2 of the most dominant programs in Division III down through the years set to go. The University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and the University of Mount Union. All right, how did they get there? Quarterfinals last week. Wisconsin-Whitewater avenged their only loss of the year as they went to Oshkosh. It came up with a 31-29 win. And for Mount Union, it was more of the same at 56-35, a win over Wesleyan. Great to see everybody. Delighted to hear you have come to the right place. I'm Michael Rega. My partner is Dustin Fox. And the month of December in Division III, it means the dominance of Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union. 9 of the last 10 Stag Bowls these 2 teams have participated in. Wisconsin-Whitewater, 6 national championships, Mount Union with 3 of them. And Dustin, when you talk about the month of December in Division III, it's like a rite of passage for these 2.
There are a few certainties in life. Death, taxes in Wisconsin-Whitewater, Mount Union in December. That was the headline, by the way, in one of the local papers this week. They expect it. It's a little odd, though, this time, not in Salem, Virginia.
Yeah, that'll be next week for the winner of this one. Let's take a look at just the staggering, almost incomprehensible numbers as you take a look at the 2 quarterbacks, Therese Scott and Chris Nelson. 3 football losses in the last 5 years for this Warhawks program. Almost incomprehensible to believe.
It is unbelievable. And by the way, new head coach takes over, Kevin Bullis, this year, 6-0 versus Mount Union in those national title games in the Stag Bowl. It's obviously some great competition, great rivalry between these 2 teams.
No question about that as you continue on. Mount Union has not lost in this home stadium of theirs in 94 straight. They'd like to extend that today.
Michael, you remember the game they lost back in 2004.
Ohio Northern
Absolutely.
And Ohio Athletic Conference game.
Well, they don't lose here in Alliance, obviously, so it's going to be a tough one for Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Yeah, it is. And when you look at Mount Union, how about defensively? These numbers are staggering. You allow only 7 a game, and you put up how many a game offensively?
Well, you're going to put up 55 points a game. That is basketball numbers. That's like college basketball here at Mount Union. They put up 55 points, only allowing 7. Just tremendous football here for the Purple Raiders.
Yeah, no question about it. So as we tell you, when you look at Vince Karras, who took over for his father, Larry, played here, an assistant coach here. And how about Kevin Bullis replacing the legendary Lance Leipold, who went to Buffalo? All of that tremendous. We're set to go. Division III semi. Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union coming at you next. The NCAA Division III Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. A lot of flavor here, and if you love the color purple, this is the spot to be, because both the Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawks and the Mount Union Purple Raiders, that the dominant color of choice as the energy gets all pumped up inside this legendary Division III venue here in Northeast Ohio. Great to have you along, everybody. Austin Downey of the homestanding Mount Union Purple Raiders has it on the tee. One of the 2 Division III semifinals with the winner heading to Salem, Virginia next Friday night. Canton Larson, Dylan Morang back at the deep spots. D3 semi. Game on. Inside Mount Union Stadium, one of those unreturnables off the leg of Austin Downey. So let's take a look at Chris Nelson, the quarterback of Wisconsin-Whitewater. And Dustin, he had to replace the two-time quarterbacking champion, Matt Barron, who was dominant at that most important position the last couple years for Whitewater.
Yeah, and Chris has only gotten better as the season has worn on. And obviously tough shoes to fill. Matt Barron, two-time national champion, All-American quarterback. Got a little flavor in the league this year to the NFL. But Chris Nelson is the reason they are back here in the semis.
Wisconsin-Whitewater with a football. Averaged 40 points a game. And out of that pistol look, that's Jordan Ratliff on the carry. And the defense of Mount Union that only allows 7 points a game rising up. Let's take a look at the impact players. We'll start with Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Well, it starts in the running back position. Jordan Ratliff, he's going to get a ton of carries this afternoon. And Marcus Hudson, the wide receiver, really has come on as of late, averaging over 18 yards per reception.
Ratliff stoned on that first carry for him of the afternoon. Again, more zone read look. And Ratliff got knocked down again as this defense of Mount Union continues to run laterally well. Hank Spencer on the stop. Dustin, he's one of their defensive impact players.
Yeah, and one of Vince Karras' favorite players on this football team. You'll see him all over the field. But Tom Lally up front. Tom Lally, big number 90. He'll be in on a lot of stops, especially against these runs that Wisconsin-Whitewater is going to do against this Mount defense.
On 3rd and 9 out of the pistol. Nelson going to take a shot in the seam. Brett Campbell made the grab. The big 6'5" tight end, Brett Campbell. That's 41 yards before finally being hauled down by Brian Groves. They love to use their tight ends.
Oh, there's no question they love these tight ends. And Brett Campbell, a former offensive lineman, doesn't look like an offensive lineman right there, right over the middle, down the seam, working against safety Brian Groves. Just gets right behind the defense. Listen, if you're a defensive back, deep is the deepest, wide is the widest. You can't allow these tight ends to get down the field.
Third carry of the first possession for Jordan Ratliff. Ratliff wedged down a couple down to the 28-yard line. Actually moved the pile for 5 before he was taken down by Durham Alarms. Tom Lally, Mike Vidal, Mike Furta, outstanding defensive front 4 for Mount Union.
That's one of the strengths of this team, really the front 7 of this Mount Union defense. They've been doing such a good job this season. We talked about in the open, allowing only 7 points per game. That is just ridiculous.
See the numbers for Jordan Ratliff. Off play action. Nelson going to take a shot for Marvin Hudson. It was broken up by Brian Groves. Groves out of Stowe. Well, excuse me, that's Trey Jones on that breakup. Jones, the corner, on the breakup of the throw. Marvin Hudson, the leading receiver for Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Michael, this is a matchup that we're going to see all afternoon. Trey Jones versus Marcus Hudson. Two of the best players on the entire field. This will be fun to watch, and Trey Jones gets away with a little bit of contact down the field there, but again, the All-American corner, Trey Jones, obviously all OAC as well. One of the most athletic players on this defense.
This is 3rd and 5, and you got the double tight ends now. Tony Gamina, who wears number 80, and Brent Campbell. Going to run the football with Ratliff, and that was blown up by Tom Lally. Lally out of the tradition-rich program of Lakewood St. Edward High School, who won a D1 state championship last weekend in Columbus here in Ohio.
Michael, he's played every game. He's been at Mount, and obviously the heart and soul of this defense. Going to be a firefighter when he graduates from Mount Union. Talk about D3 football. We'll get into it as we go, but these players out here playing with some serious heart this afternoon.
So with a stop on Ratliff, Lake Bacher from 46 yards out. A lot of leg. Operation clean, and Bacher has drilled it to put 3 on the board for Wisconsin-Whitewater. Probably had another 10 yards to spare. Lake Bacher to give Wisconsin-Whitewater a 3-0 lead on their opening possession. Does Mount Union answer? Their turn with a football when we get back. Division III semis getting rolling. Wisconsin-Whitewater's Lake Bacher with a 3-0 lead. Wisconsin-Whitewater capitalizing, putting points on the board in their first drive. And how about for the first time in 2015, the Mount Union Purple Raiders are trailing in this, their 14th game of the year. Vince Karras, of course, who played for his dad, the legendary Larry Karras, who's up here in the booth now, working with the quarterbacks for his son. So they trail for the first time this year, going to get their hands on the football. Michael Regai, Dustin Fox, all of our terrific ESPN crew. And as I said, you come to the right place. This is tradition and two of the most legendary programs that we have in college football. Now, Mount Union on this kickoff return, solid return from Logan Nemeth. Nemeth, the terrifically talented running back who's moving up on the Mount Union rushing charts. Dustin Therese Scott, a young man who started his career right here from Alliance, started his career as a wide receiver.
Terrific story. Comes to Mount Union as a quarterback, but because he's so talented, last year they moved him to wide receivers. You mentioned, Michael, he was the leading receiver last season. Now he's the starting quarterback replacing Kevin Burke.
Kevin Burke, who is already stamped as one of the most talented, gifted, championship-winning quarterbacks in Mount Union football history. That first carry is from Logan Nemeth. Nemeth, over 1,500 yards on the ground this year. One of our impact guys.
Well, there's no question Logan Nemeth has come onto the scene and run away with this tailback job. And Roman Namdar out on the outside, he's a game changer. If they can get him going against the secondary, that'd be huge for Mount's offense.
Again, out of that inside zone read look, this is Logan Nemeth. Nemeth's got a first down. Give him 9 up near the 45-yard line. Again, over 1,500 yards on the ground this year, 25 TDs.
That's a good pickup for Nemeth there to pick up the first down. And they're going to need a lot of this. They need to get the tempo going, handing the football off to Nemeth, obviously, and you'll see a lot more of Therese Scott as well and some of this read option stuff. It's been so much fun talking to Coach this week about this offense.
3 wide receivers. Scott going to pull it down to keep the football. Scott got 5 to the 49-yard line. Scott finally hit and taken down by Trevor Boyle, the defensive end.
Some of the impact players for Wisconsin-Whitewater, Zach Franz up front. And then Ryan Winsky, that's the quarterback of this defense. He sets the defense. He makes all the checks, all the alignments. He's obviously the main leader. They call him the brains behind the operation on defense.
2nd and 5 now for Therese Scott. Off that read option look. Guns that throw. He wanted to find Roman Namdar. You see we had some contact with flags that fly in the Whitewater secondary.
Looks like they're going to back up Mount Union here. Flag came from the back judge.
Ineligible receiver downfield, number 56. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
Well, in talking with Jeff Dart, offensive coordinator this week for Mount Union, one of the things that he mentioned, we're talking about it, it's so tough when you run these read option passes. Some of your offensive linemen tend to get downfield a little bit too far. They only allow them 3 yards, and he said they've only been called 3 times this season. Mm-hmm. He said it's hard for officials to make that call. First drive of the game, legal man downfield.
Yep, and it cost Mount Union 5. You see that play clock now, inside 5. Therese Scott on 3rd and 5. Scott pressured and got dropped. Sack time, Trevor Boyle. Boyle got there first, the 227-pound junior out of Janesville, Wisconsin.
Well, I think that Therese Scott's got to just have this clock in his head and think, I got to take off right now because Boyle, a premier pass rusher on this Whitewater defense, is going to get there. This is different, Michael, than they've seen all season long. These boys from Whitewater can play.
That's his 3rd sack of the year for Boyle. Now Dylan Morang in that deep spot. That football inside the 5, and Mount Union's punt cover team is going to put it down after a 57-yard boot from Adam Snyder. 3-0 Wisconsin-Whitewater. 2nd opportunity with a football here in the opening quarter when we get back. 3-0 Wisconsin-Whitewater on top. These two perennial strong Division III programs that met in the Stag Bowl last year, and this one almost blocked.
It's a game of inches, Michael. It's a game of inches. Colin Buck comes through there, nearly blocks the punt. Think about how that would turn this around, and now Mount has him pinned at the 1-yard line. Take a look at the planning for success. I think for Whitewater, they need to control the line of scrimmage. They got to play well up front. They've got 6'4", 295-pound offensive linemen. That's the average across the board. Those are going to be the keys for Whitewater. And then across the way for the Purple Raiders, they need to eliminate turnovers. You go back and look at the history of this matchup. That whoever loses the turnover battle typically wins the game. And then also play the tempo. Play your tempo for Mount Union. They want to run as many plays as they possibly can. Whitewater wants to slow this game down and grind it out. Mount is most effective when they can run that high up-tempo offense.
That's our Northwest Mutual planning for success. So the football at their own 1-yard line. Jordan Ratliff at the tailback spot. Chris Nelson will wedge out a couple yards behind that very strong offensive line, which both head coach Kevin Bullis and Craig Smith, the O coordinator, told us, we believe it's the strength of our program, our offensive line, Dustin. They've proven that in winning national championships.
Well, the offensive line and those two big tight ends they have, they run a lot of 12 personnel. They want to give Jordan Ratliff the ball a lot in this game. They don't want to make Chris Nelson. They don't want to make Chris Nelson have to go out here and throw for 350 yards. They want to be very balanced on offense.
2nd down and 8. This is Ratliff. And then Mount Union defensive front 7 so stingy in on the hits. Tom Lally, Mike Vidal. Lally wears number 90. Vidal number 99, the 2 D tackles.
Just 2-gapping it right there up front, allowing Jonathan Gunnell to get in there and make the stop. Remember, Mount Union's defense is playing shorthanded today. Josh Stewart, their spur linebacker, is out with an injury, had a freak back injury a couple weeks back, wasn't ready to go this week.
3 tight ends on the football field now on 3rd and 6. Run Ratliff. Got a seam. This is Jordan Ratliff in open space and finally dragged down at the 44-yard line. That's a 38-yard burst on 3rd down and 5. We mentioned that offensive line. They block it dramatically.
Well, you mentioned they bring in 3 tight ends, and Ratliff's just going to run behind the lead blocker right there. And then take a look at Kepnick down the field, and then he gets a really good block from Marcus Hudson on the outside to kind of push that cornerback off a little bit, allow him to pick up an extra 5 yards. Ratliff on the season, 23 touchdowns. That's 7th in the country.
Now out of the pistol look, Ratliff again, trying to operate the left side. Got 3. But that big burst a moment ago on 3rd down and 5 for Jordan Ratliff. Got Wisconsin-Whitewater out of the shadows of their own goal line.
Yeah, that was big. I mean, Mount had him pinned. And you're thinking maybe you can shift some of that momentum in that situation. But for Whitewater to be able to get out of that, that's huge.
Vince Karras, a long-time defensive coordinator for his father. Now run the stretch play with tailback Gerard Ware. Ware, who has been the change of pace guy, Dustin, as Craig Smith told us, the offensive coordinator, as we met this week.
And you know what else Craig Smith told us, Michael? He said the difference between some of the teams they play in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference in playing Mount is that these boys close in a hurry. The speed of their defense, they think they have a hole or seam, and all of a sudden the Purple Raiders are right there to make the stop.
3rd and 5. Nelson will trigger the out. That's Joe Worth that made the grab. He's the possession guy in this offensive pass game, working in front of Lewis Berry. 1st down, Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Worth is a captain, doesn't get nearly the praise that Marcus Hudson does, but he does everything for this team, all the dirty work, and has been around a long time, played a lot of football for Whitewater.
44th reception of the year. Nelson going to put it up on 1st down. Same look, same result. Pitch and catch with Joe Worth. Look at Worth with yards after catch as he carried both Lewis Berry and outside linebacker Hank Spencer for a couple yards extra.
Well, when something works, you go right back to it, right? That nice little 10-yard out, working against the freshman, Lewis Berry, getting some action. You know, Berry, this is the biggest game Berry's ever played in. And so they're going to see that matchup, number 21 in the secondary for Mount Union, and try and attack that from an offensive standpoint.
Back to the stretch play in the ground game. Good cut by Ratliff to the second level and inside the 30-yard line down to the 28. That's 7 more for Jordan Ratliff. Would it be premature to say already in the opening quarter this offensive line imposing their will?
Well, they're dominating right now up front. This is what we talked about. They want to sustain drives. They want to set the tempo and the pace to their pace, and right now they're doing it.
Again, the stretch play with Jordan Ratliff. Well, Ratliff tried to turn the corner. He was taken down as that hit came from a Durham Alarms. Alarms wears number 44, the defensive end. Going to bring up 3rd down and, well, let's call it 1. Maybe a half yard.
To me, this is a waste down right here. If I'm Wisconsin-Whitewater, I'm looking to take a shot. There's no question in my mind that we're going to go for it on 4th down. Take a shot down the field here. Maybe look at Marcus Hudson on the outside working against Trey Jones. He'll be matched up with him, number 7 versus number 5. This is a perfect situation to take a shot to the end zone.
This drive, remember, started at the Warhawks' 1-yard line. The big burst from Jordan Ratliff. Nelson will wedge out that first down behind the 310-pound center, Spencer Shear. And Craig Smith, the offensive coordinator, told us the best communicator he's ever had as an O-lineman from that center spot. He's the voice of that group.
All conference, started last year in the Stag Bowl. And you're right, Michael, he makes all the calls up front. Very smart. Not the best offensive lineman, but obviously one of the smartest guys up front.
12th play of this drive. Again, it started at the 1-yard line with that double tight end look. Ware got taken down by Durham Alarms. Alarms in on that hit from Mount Union. Also in on the stop for the Purple Raiders.
This is what Mount needs to do. They need to get stops on 1st down. They got to keep Whitewater behind their schedule, all right, on 1st and 2nd down. They want to make Chris Nelson have to beat them, and it's a good stop there, 2-yard gain on 1st down.
Well, this Mount Union defense that only allows 7 points a game being tested. You look at the total yards,
wow.
$125 here for the first 10 minutes. On 2nd and 8, this is Ware. Tried to stretch it. Nothing happening there. That's Zach Deere, a 215-pound junior linebacker. There's Deere. Where's number 10 starting for Zach Stewart today?
He set the edge. You know, he's getting his start today because of the loss to Josh Stewart. He doesn't make the play, but he really does make the play. He's not going to get credit with the tackle, but he sets it up by setting that edge and allowing Hank Spencer to run it down and make the stop. That defense has been unbelievable this year. Only giving up 7.6 points per game, less than 200 yards in total defense. It's just insane. And how about the number there at the bottom? They've pitched 6 shutouts this year, Michael.
Yeah, they have. First time trailing all year long. Play action. Nelson laying out to make that grab, and an extraordinary catch from Colton Hergich. Hergich, full extension. First down grab, Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Well, this is an ESPN top 10 type of play. Look at that extension to lay out for that right near the hash. Puts that football only where his guy can get it. Hergich, the senior, makes the terrific catch and picks up the first down. Excuse me,
well,
doesn't pick up the first down. A little bit short.
Well,
my bad.
Mark that a little short.
It's under review.
They're going to review it, so we'll take the look up here. It looked at as we saw it live. It looked like that it would be spotted good enough for the first down, but they're going to take a look at it now. It was marked about a half yard short, so the call on the field is going to be 4th and less than a yard.
Well, we get a look at it here from this angle. To me, I thought he caught it. It's going to be tough as his back sort of turns as he goes to the ground.
Well, the line to make was just inside the 15.
Is that ball? That's incomplete. I think from that angle, you may be able to overturn that. Take a look at the tip of the football, Michael. Right as he's coming down, does it move? His hand's not necessarily underneath it. I think they may overturn that.
Well, again, now you have to have indisputable video evidence.
This is the best angle right here.
But
take a look at that ball.
On the field again now is a catch.
And this is something different, by the way, for Division III football. They don't have instant replay during the regular season. It only comes into play from the semis and on. And so this will be something new for these guys. But I'll tell you what, that second angle to me looks like that may be overturned. And, we may possibly see a field goal attempt coming from Whitewater.
Sure. On that first drive here in the opening quarter, Lake Bacher connected from 46 yards away, a season best. Now again, if this is overturned, our referee Ken Johnson will wait for his call. and he's ready to deliver it.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field is reversed. The ball will be taken back to the 27-yard line. It'll be 4th and 13. Pass is incomplete.
Well, enough evidence, as you were pointing out, as we took a look at it, that Colton Hergich did not complete the catch.
Couldn't get that left hand underneath it, and then his right hand comes in, and obviously as he goes to the ground is what allows him to secure the catch. And good call by the officials, good catch by the replay booth. Bill Simmons down there doing a good job at the crew and overturning that.
Tremendous effort from Hergich, laying out full extension.
You don't question the effort. The effort's there.
Yeah, tough opportunity.
Yeah.
All right, so Lake Becker already 1 for 1, as we mentioned, hit for 46 yards out of season best. This will be from 45. It'll be out of the hold of quarterback Chris Nelson, so factor that in.
Previous play was on the left hash.
Move hash marks.
Already? Hey, but that affects the kicker.
Yeah.
You know, he's coming out there thinking he's going to be kicking from the opposite hash. We'll see if it affects him here on this 45-yard attempt.
Again, the quarterback Chris Nelson is your holder from 45 yards out left hash. Bacher with a tremendous amount of leg again. He missed it wide left. However, we've got a flag. Western Mountain Union contact on Bacher.
Well, this is probably going to be roughing.
Running into the kicker. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
But they get to re-kick it, Michael. So it'll still remain 4th down, but they get an opportunity to kick it again. But again, I think the pressure off of the edge, and that's Trey Jones, who runs into the kicker. Little acting job there, grabbing the knee. Wants an Oscar. It's going to help him out.
Lake Bacher sold it very well.
He sold
and
it very
got
well.
The flag.
Right to the knee. Trying to get the roughing the kicker 15-yarder, which would be a 1st down.
Trey Jones, one of the finest quarterbacks that we have in America in D3.
All of a sudden that knee's fine to kick this one, huh?
Sure it is. This will be from 40 yards out of the hold of Chris Nelson from the left hash. Plenty of leg from Lake Bacher, and he's put Wisconsin-Whitewater up 6-zip with his second 3-point field goal make of the opening quarter. Wisconsin-Whitewater started that drive on the 1-yard line. The big play was the 38-yard ramble from Jordan Ratliff. Lake Bacher 2 for 2. Wisconsin-Whitewater by 6. The success of the Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawk program duly noted. A big part of the reason why. Let's do a little geography lesson. Take a look at where the campus is located. About a mile, about an hour away from Madison, as you see, between Madison to the west, Milwaukee to the east, and then maybe a couple hours plus and some change into Chicago, Illinois. Fertile recruiting area for the Warhawks program.
Well, Whitewater's a town of 14,000 people, but within that 200-mile radius, you've got all those Madison, Milwaukee, and Chicago. They draw a ton of kids who want to come to Wisconsin-Whitewater, not only for the football program, but they have an excellent business school. Most of these kids are business majors, and obviously love the academic side of things.
Now this is Lewis Berry from Mount Union, not returnable as he takes a knee in the end zone. All right, down 6-0. And a perfect 13-0 on the year, and really not been challenged all year long as we look at the time of possession. How important is this, a late first quarter drive for Mount Union to put points on the board?
Well, it's huge. I mean, they're lucky to look at that time of possession in terms of only being down 6 points right now, 2 huge stops by the defense to only allow field goals. But you're right, Michael. They need to move the sticks here. They need to get something positive going. And, again, tempo from this offense.
First down call out of that zone read look, that inside zone read to Logan Nemeth. Well, Nemeth runs tackle to tackle. He's out of McBain, Michigan. 5'10", 195-pounder, but it's all about downhill for him, Dustin.
So all downhill, and all he's done this season, Michael, for this Mount Union team is run for over 100 yards. He's done it 7 times.
Scott now will keep that football on that read option. Tyrese Scott. Well, you see the wiggle he has, Dustin, when he gets out on the edge. First down, Mount Union.
He's special. He's a special talent at the quarterback position. One thing to keep an eye on, I just caught it right here on the end of this run, is that Tyrese Scott, he kind of doesn't necessarily tighten that football up. Ball security.
Now Scott's going to gun that throw on that first down throw. That's hauled in by Jordan Hargrove. Hargrove, local guy out of Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. Tempo for Mount Union offensively.
It's fantastic. This is when they're at their best, when they can get off snaps. Look at the defense from Whitewater. They're standing around trying to get their calls in, and Mount Union's looking at the sideline. They're ready to go.
Play action for Scott. That seam route is hauled in by Tim Kennedy. Kennedy, his 76th reception of the year, got a sit-down spot in the seam. Big play, Mount Union.
Saw it all the way, sitting in the slot. Tim Kennedy runs a little stick route, kind of a double move, and he sits right down behind the linebacker, Justin Dishler, in the safety, and the ball is thrown accurately and on time by Tyrese Scott.
Tyrese Scott, the third passing efficiency quarterback in the nation. Again, play action. Going to take a shot. Namdar's got it. Touchdown, Mount Union. Roman Namdar with the quick 6 from 32 yards out.
Michael, there are some people here at Mount that believe Namdar can play at the next level. When he turns it on, when he flips that switch, there's nobody better in D3 at the wide receiver position than Namdar, right there working against the best corner from Whitewater, Vince Mason on the outside. That's a matchup you'll take all afternoon if you're Vince Karras in this Mount Union offense. Way to respond by the Purple Raiders.
Chunk plays during that drive for the Mount Union offense. They'll add the PAT. Roman Namdar, his 19th touchdown reception of the year. Dustin, now that's 15 of them, 25 yards or more.
Tyrese Scott can really flick that wrist, can he? Tight spiral, right down the seam, right down the hash to the back of the end zone. Student section getting fired up right there as they take the lead for the first time in the game. That ball, pretty ball.
That young man, again, he started as a wide receiver here. Of course, had to wait his time because Kevin Burke was winning national championships for Mount Union's program.
But he's so talented, Michael, that he had to get on the field. They're like, well, we'll play at wide receiver. No big deal. Just go out and lead the team in receptions last season on a team that went to the national championship, obviously lost to Whitewater, but a terrific athlete. And to be able to fill the shoes of the two-time Ghilardi winner, Kevin Burke, it's been pretty impressive because the numbers this year have been outstanding offensively.
Yeah.
55 points a game. Really no drop-off. Last year they averaged about 60 points a game on offense. To think that they're right there, the same type of numbers, is pretty impressive.
Now Austin Downey with the football on the tee. That was quick and explosive as Mount Union grabs their first lead of the afternoon. Downey driving that football to send Canton Larson back to the end line. And this will be the third possession for that young man, the very talented Chris Nelson. And this Wisconsin-Whitewater offensive unit, they've put together two terrific drives. Difference is it's resulted in just 3 both times, while Tyrese Scott got those chunk plays going for Mount Union to put 7 on the board ultimately.
The thing that Mount Union wants to do is they want to put pressure on the offense. And this may sound crazy, but the way that they put pressure on Wisconsin-Whitewater's offense is not with their defense, Michael. It's with their own offense. They want to play up tempo. They want to score a bunch of points, and they want to make Wisconsin-Whitewater change their philosophy offensively. Whitewater needs to stick to what they've been doing. It's the ground and pound offense.
Nelson. Plenty of time. He got picked off. Dropping off into coverage was defensive end Mike Furta. Furta reading the eyes of Chris Nelson, jumped the route. Sudden change, turnover, Mount Union's defense.
Second interception of the year from Mike Furta. Michael, he's a converted tight end. A lot of times defensive players have bad hands. Well, Furta's the next tight end, so this is old hat for him. Picks it off, drops into the zone. I don't know what Nelson was looking at right there. They're trying to run a double move on the outside, and Hudson sits down on the opposite side. And I just think he just loses Furta in coverage. Great job by this Mount defense and a sudden momentum shift for the Purple Raiders.
Now they're going to play at a short football field. They'll start after the Furta pick at the 24-yard line. This is Logan Nemeth, got the edge. Nemeth with speed outside those numbers and finally drilled at the 13-yard line. That's 11 yards and a first down for Logan Nemeth.
Well, you talk about setting the edge. Wisconsin-Whitewater is not able to do it right here because of a terrific block by Lane Clark on the outside that really puts Matt Seitz behind the 8 ball in terms of tracking down Logan Nemeth. This offense for Mount Union in the red zone this year, 87% and 76% of the time they score touchdowns.
Nemeth will explode inside the 5 and stood up right there at the 5-yard line. That's 8 more, and this offensive line for Mount Union really charged up the last 2 possessions.
Whenever they need a tough yard, you know what Coach said. Coach Dart said to us this week, they run behind Michael Frank, most powerful offensive lineman. He ran right behind him right there on first down.
Again, the zone read inside carry. Nemeth going to power his way down near the 3-yard line, so give him a couple. Justin Dishler on the spot. Now that should move the chains. First down at the 3-yard line. First and goal now.
Who do you think's getting this ball, Michael?
Could be that read option with Therese Scott, but it's Nemeth. Nemeth, the power down near the 1. Nemeth got stopped. In on that hit was the middle linebacker Justin Dishler for Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Just a read option. You know, Therese Scott can pull that thing out if he wants to and run down the sideline, towards the sideline rather, but giving the ball to his workhorse right here up the middle.
Scott will follow Nemeth into the end zone. Touchdown, Therese Scott, Mount Union.
Well, when you run the quarterback read, you get an extra blocker. So Therese Scott pulls that out and actually uses Nemeth as a lead blocker up through the hole, and Therese Scott has an easy touchdown, his 12th rushing touchdown of the year.
Third in the nation passing efficiency and touchdowns as well. Now, that direct snap. This is Kennedy going to throw it in the end zone, and that is hauled in. It is hauled in, and was that the kicker? I think it was Jake Antle.
Little trickeration for Coach Karras here on the 2-point conversion, throwing back across his body. You're right, it was Jake Ansel. How about that? And
he had lined up wide, the direct snap to wide receiver Tim Kennedy. Kennedy will throw the 2-point conversion. Well, so Mount Union, after trailing 6-0 early on, a couple of touchdowns, have put 15 on the board with that 2-point conversion throw from Kennedy to the place kicker, Antle.
And they score fast, Michael. 15 points in 1 minute and 34 seconds. That's what this offense does. That's how they score 55 points a game on the season. They're basketball and grass. I mean, they're literally the greatest show on turf in Division III football. They're fun to watch when they really get things clicking offensively. And on that last drive, really the last 2 drives, that one set up by the Mike Furta interception, able to have a short field. But the Mount Union offense is dynamic and explosive.
Well, Wisconsin-Whitewater, after they took that 6-0 lead, been hit with his sledgehammer from that young man, Therese Scott, and this Mount Union offense. Wisconsin-Whitewater, of course, last week they avenged their only loss of the year as they beat their Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference rivals, Wisconsin-Oshkosh. No opportunity for return from Dylan Morang. So with just 27 ticks left in the first quarter, let's see in possession number 4 this opening quarter how Chris Nelson is able to bounce back from that pick he threw to Mike Furta of Mount Union.
A lot on the line. 9-0, true road playoff wins. Mount Union 94-game home winning streak
here.
Not
to mention, if you don't win, your season ends today.
Yeah, this is
winner goes to the Stag Bowl next week.
People are like, what? Whitewater and Mount are not playing in Salem, Virginia? What's going on here?
It certainly has not happened often. Ratliff nowhere to go. Mike linebacker for Mount Union. Hank Spencer along with Jonathan Gunnell. The terrific linebacking core for Mount Union.
Job by Zach Deere knifing inside. And again, that's how you play team defense. If everybody's in their gaps, they play their assignment. You do your job. You allow the other players to scrape and make the tackle. Right there, Hank Spencer's able to do it defensively.
2nd and 9. Probably going to be the final play of the opening quarter. Didn't get it off. Play clock, game clock hit triple zeros. And this first quarter will expire. Pretty exciting first 15 minutes of football.
At the end, first quarter.
Wisconsin-Whitewater jumped out to the 6-0 lead with Chris Nelson throws like that to Brett Campbell. But it was the Mike Furta pick that led to what would be a couple of touchdowns for Mount Union. 15-6 Mount Union, first quarter lead. Mount Union's Purple Raiders, big finish to the opening quarter. 2 touchdowns, 15 points on the board, have this 9-point advantage over Wisconsin-Whitewater as we remind you that the NCAA Division III Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. This Mount Union coaching lineage has been phenomenal. Larry Karras, of course, who now is the quarterback coach for this football team, the patriarch of this whole thing, but played for him, coached for him, and now a lot of young men have moved on to prominent positions.
Well, Vince now the head coach here. Matt Campbell, who played here and was his position coach was Vince. Well, Matt's at Iowa State now. Jason Candle moves on to Toledo. Nick Sirianni at San Diego coaching the quarterbacks.
False start. 79 offense. Remains first down.
So now trailing by 9 behind a couple of possessions. This Wisconsin-Whitewater offense.
Second down.
Comes out and gets hit with a false start. Now Nelson looking at 2nd and 14. Go back to the ground game. And that's Jordan Ratliff. Ratliff on the carry. Alex Koshev. Koshev wears number 31. Keep an eye on him. This is an outstanding strong safety for this Mount Union squad.
And Koshev flies around from his strong safety position. He's a guy that Coach talked about this week. He's played a lot of football here. He's a captain. Michael, he was a swimmer in high school. Talk about his athleticism to be a terrific swimmer. Of course, there at Chagrin Falls and at Kenston High School.
Very disruptive, as defensive coordinator Chris Kappas let us know on 3rd and 10. That's Tony Gamina, the big 250-pound tight end, making that grab. Going to come up a couple of yards shy of that line to make to bring up 4th and 1. Gamina's a real good one. Strong tight end presence with Brett Campbell.
And I'll tell you what, good tackle here from Nick Rodriguez in his cornerback spot, and that's going to be a little bit short, a little bit too early in the game to consider going for it here, but it's dangerous because you give the football back to this explosive Mount Union offense. Boy, in a hurry, you could be looking at being down 22-6. You got to get a stop here defensively coming up.
Tim Kennedy in the deep spot. Luke Bacher to hit it away, and Kennedy is going to see that tail drag inside the 10-yard line. He didn't field it, and it cost Mount Union. It'll be put down at the 7-yard line. A 59-yard punt from Lake Bacher. All right, Mount Union football when we get back. Purple Raiders with their 9-point lead. 15-6 Mount Union on top, early second quarter. Michael Reggie, Dustin Fox, all of our terrific ESPN crew. That man, Kevin Bullis, took over for Lance Leipold, who now is the head coach of the University of Buffalo. You go back the last 5 football seasons, I mean, Division III, it's Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union dominance.
And Kevin Bullis takes over for Lance Leipold, and all he's done is basically win every game. 12-1, his first season as head coach here at Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Mount Union will start at the 7. And again, stay with that zone read. That is the staple of both these programs' run game, as it is pretty much, I don't know, what do you think, 80 to 90% of college football programs around the nation now?
Well, it works. Everybody's running it because it's working, especially at the collegiate level. So why wouldn't you do it? It's a copycat league, man.
Yeah,
copycat league.
Logan Nemeth got 4. Nemeth has had a huge first half. 2nd and 6. Nemeth again. Going to be a face mask as Nemeth bursts through that seam to the second level. Going to be 15 tacked on to the end of this. Nemeth on the first down, and there's more coming.
Personal foul, face mask, 98 on the defense. At 15 yards, we added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
That's Zach France out of DeForest, Wisconsin. All-American in 2014.
Well, it's going to be tacked on. That's a huge penalty, 15-yarder. I'll tell you what, this defense for Whitewater needs to get a stop here, Michael. They've got a small window with Mount Union. You want to keep it in. You want to keep it with about a score or two because their offense is so explosive. Right now, you really, really are desperate, especially the way your offense has been able to come out and move the ball to only have 6 points. It's kind of deflating.
Nemeth again through a huge crease to the 45-yard line. That's 10 more and a first down for Logan Nemeth. We mentioned all he does is run downhill, and Dustin, he hits it quickly.
Justin Dishler is 230 pounds, and Nemeth's about $195. Nemeth runs like he's 250 right there because Dishler got the blow, and he was delivered the blow by running back Logan Nemeth.
And you see Nemeth 66 yards here on his 10 carries. Scott off that play fake. Pitch and catch completed to Tim Kennedy. Kennedy to the 50-yard line for 5.
Michael, this play looks very similar to a play call that Jeff Dart drew up for us this week in practice. He can fake the handoff. That could be a run right there. Therese Scott could run it, or he could actually throw it out on the edge to the wide receiver Tim Kennedy. He called that play Yo Ace Right 11 seal bubble.
There you go.
How about that?
Channeling your John Gruden there. That's how ESPN Monday night color analyst Gruden would analyze that as he and Tirico work together. Logan Nemeth again with that second down carry. He got a couple. But Dustin, going back to Jeff Dart, what he said to us is they're trying to create and get into the defense having a conflict of assignment. And that's exactly it. It's very apropos. We'll show that to you a little bit later on. This is 3rd and 3 now from the 48 of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Scott going to keep the football. Got a first down. Excellent cutback. Therese Scott. Again, Justin Dishler in on the Wisconsin-Whitewater stop. Well, Scott had a little contact at the line of scrimmage, wiggled free to move the chain.
Well, they call this down in Florida the Florida stick. This is more like the Stark County stick from Alliance, Ohio. Therese Scott's able to stick that foot in the ground and show some wiggle there and pick up that first down.
Now going to run with 3 wide receivers along with tight end Lane Clark. Scott off play action. Pressure coming. Dishler on that first hit. Wisconsin-Whitewater sack, as that was both Justin Dishler and Matt Seitz, 47 and 44. They got to Scott right now.
In a hurry. Dishler, Zach Franz, Matt Seitz, all of whom are able to get in the backfield as they're trying to get the football down the field to Jordan Hargrove. That's where he was looking to throw the ball. Not open, good coverage in the secondary, and of course the sack is made by Dishler and a crew of Warhawks.
It's going to create a 2nd and 21 now for Therese Scott and the Mount Union offense. That inside delay. This is running back Bradley Mitchell. First time we've seen the diminutive one today. He's out of the Motor City of Detroit, 5'6", 170-pounder.
He's more the change of pace back. Delayed handoff here to Bradley Smith. He's not 100% healthy, hasn't been all year. Bradley Mitchell, excuse me, number 1. But they did say this week they want to get Mitchell a lot more carries this afternoon.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, Mitchell has had a huge influence down throughout his career here at Mount Union in the run game. Third down at 15. Nemeth going to get taken down as he crossed the 45 to the 44-yard line. And Mount Union's going to punt the football away here. So here's Wisconsin-Whitewater getting their stop.
This is what they needed, and it was all set up by that coverage sack that Disher was able to get. And now a little bit of, maybe a little momentum shift. The Warhawks needed to stop the bleeding because Mount Union was just moving up and down the field so quickly. Big stop for this defense.
On 4th and 11 with pressure, Adam Snyder with that line drive shot. Dylan Morang is going to let the football come to a stop at the 11-yard line. Chris Nelson and Wisconsin-Whitewater offense when we come back. 15-6, Mount Union, don't move. (56) Mount Union with this 9-point advantage over Wisconsin-Whitewater. Great to have you along, everybody. One of our two D3 championship semifinals. Michael Regide, Dustin Fox, our tremendous ESPN crew, producer David Ashbrock, director Howard Miller, all of the gang on top of their games as they always are to allow you to enjoy this Division III semi to the utmost. Now, what does Wisconsin-Whitewater have with this possession? They've been stagnant the last couple.
Run the ball on first down, get ahead of the sticks, which is what they did in the first two drives.
Now Nelson's going to put it up. Check down underneath, and that throw incomplete off the hands and behind Joe Worth.
It's back-to-back drives where they've started by throwing on first down. The first two drives, they got it going with Ratliff in the run game. Michael, we talked about it. 11, 12 personnel. Again, so an incomplete pass on first down, you're already kind of behind schedule on second down.
Yeah, Dustin and my ears perked up on our conference call this week when both head coach Kevin Bullis and the offensive coordinator Craig Smith said, we love 11 and 12 personnel, and we're seeing why. That's Worth on the grab, and he got absolutely crunched on that Mount Union stick that came from Will Heitschuh. But that's 14 yards and a first down on that in route. That's caught by Worth.
Yeah, second really good catch here by Worth on the afternoon. We mentioned the captain kind of does it all for this offense, and they're lucky. They needed to move the sticks, move the chains, and they did it on second down, and now we'll see if we finally see Ratliff again.
Nelson out of the pistol. He's got Tony Gamina. Well, that's just excellent tackling, though, out on the edge, as we've discussed that. This Mount Union secondary, such sure tacklers, as against strong safety Alex Koshev on the stop.
Well, that's a surefire open field tackle. You make sure you secure it, you wrap up, you get him on the ground, especially against a big boy like Gamina, 240-pounder. Nelson
in trouble, got hit as he delivered. That pressure was coming from outside linebacker Hank Spencer out of Greencastle, Indiana. He's played a lot of football here, started playing back at 12, championship year as a freshman.
Michael, Hank Spencer will probably be one of our bosses one day because he's so smart. 3.99 GPA, the brains of this defense. Coach talked about one of his favorite players on defense. Does it all. He's already got a job lined up in Chicago after he graduates here from Mount in a couple days, and boy, a terrific player for the Purple Raiders.
3rd and 5. That inside delay to Ratliff, not going to work. He got dragged down by that defensive end, Durham Alarms. They went a little bit of misdirect on that delayed handoff.
Same spot as they were the last time. Out near about the 35-yard line, 4th and short. 4th and about a yard, and they're going to have to punt this one away. It seemed like now a little bit of a field position battle between both Mount and Whitewater.
4th down and 2.
Remember last time, Tim Kennedy back deep, let this one roll, see if he secures this punt this time.
Oh, Lake Bacher hit a howitzer. Kennedy from the 10. Tim Kennedy delivering a blow himself on that 13-yard return after the 57-yard Lake Bacher punt.
Well, Gerlacher took a hit on that one.
You don't think the pads are popping? We could feel it up here. You better make sure you got everything buttoned down and secure. Get your ankles taped if you need to. Mount Union football with a 9-point lead when we come back. You think our ESPN camera guys aren't all over it? Our director, Howard Miller? That's a helmet sticker. That was because of collisions and hard hits that came off a Mount Union Purple Raiders helmet. Wow, Therese Scott wants a big bundle to Namdar. Had him with separation. Fell it complete. Let's go back to take a look at that hit and see if we can detect, as our director Howard Miller did, where this Mount Union big play sticker came off the helmet of Nick Rodriguez.
There it is. How about that terrific camera work by the crew, working hard in the truck and out there on the field. Good job spotting that.
Great job, boys. Yeah, Will hikes you on that big hit. All right, that's second down now. That throw is hauled in by Roman Namdar from Therese Scott. Short gain. Conflict of assignment is what offensive coordinator Jeff Dart wants to develop with his offense. Where's he going with that?
What he means by that, Michael, is he wants to make defensive players have to think during the play. Conflict of assignment means they have to think about what their assignment is, and when they think, they play slow. It slows them down.
Run game. Nemeth through a big crease. Will explode to the second level and more to the 48-yard line. That's 20 yards. And a Logan Nemeth first down on 3rd and 5.
Nemeth off to a terrific start in this game. Boy, a pretty big hole up front. I think you or I could have ran through that one. Nemeth's a lot faster he's a lot faster than you and I. So I'm saying we wouldn't have got that far. But Nemeth does a good job getting downfield, coming off a strong performance last week, over 200 yards on the ground.
Scott off play action.
Dangerous.
Very risky, and that football was carrying out of bounds, although, you know, as you saw, Dylan Morang had a beat on that from his corner spot. As I think Jeff Dart's going to tell Therese Scott, if you want to throw the football away, let's make sure it's further into our bench area.
Well, typically they tell a quarterback, hey, you want to throw it away? Throw it to mom in the stands.
Yeah.
That's where you throw
Look
it.
how close that was.
Very, very close. Dangerous throw from Therese Scott.
Dylan Morang almost had a gift-wrapped early Christmas gift. Now back to the ground game, and Nemeth is running free again into the secondary. Sean Shilcox, the free safety, finally put him down. That's 13 more and another first down.
Look how many bodies are on the ground here for Nemeth to run through. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, pancake blocks up front. Doherty and Baker getting those guys on the ground. Then Nemeth finds the hole and gets it upfield.
Logan Nemeth already over 100 yards in his first half. Now a dose of Therese Scott, who'll finally slide down after a 7-yard gain. Nemeth at 106. Scott with that touchdown on the first quarter possession.
How about Michael Frank at a pull here, get a little kick-out block there on number 90, Andrew Mulshine, and then Therese Scott cuts it upfield.
Inside 6 left in this second quarter, and Therese Scott has his Mount Union offense moving again. Play action. Scott, keep the football. Spinning his way. Kind of Xbox style, right? Video game.
Circle button.
Circle button.
On the PlayStation. You got to be careful, though, especially when you spin back into where all the defenders are coming from. You take a vicious hit, possibly. I know Coach Karras, he knows how vital Therese Scott is to this offense. He'd probably rather him get out of bounds or get on the turf. Get a look at Coach Dart right there on the offensive coordinator. Back on the field this year.
Yep.
He was upstairs last year, all year. So I want to get back down there to kind of look my guys in the eyes a little bit more.
Nemeth in open space. Got knifed down outside the numbers by Dylan Morang, or he was going a greater distance real estate-wise.
Good tackle by Morang, but again, it's just the offensive line who are now overpowering the Wisconsin-Whitewater defensive line at this point. They've really taken this game over, and I think the tempo has the Whitewater defense on their heels.
I'll give you some numbers in a moment after this 3rd and 2. Mitchell trying to get to the edge. Good cut. Going to depend on the spot where Bradley Mitchell, as we mentioned, the change of pace backs, played he's top 10 in the career rushing annals here at Mount Union. They pick it up for a first down. But Dustin, you look at this Whitewater defense, they give up 12 points a game. They've given up 15 here. They only give up 98 yards per game on the ground to their opposition. As we know, Nemeth's over 100 here in the first half.
Just going to bring that up. Their rush defense has been so stout this year. Coming in this game, you knew something would have to give, and so far, Mount Union's taken advantage of it, winning that battle.
Mitchell, well, he got absolutely stopped for no gain there. Probably lost one. As closing down from the defensive end spot, once again, was Trevor Boyle.
How about that?
Official timeout, injured player.
Tamzett does such a good job, Brandon Tamzett, number 93, of getting in his gap and holding off to basically allow his linebackers to scrape in pursuit of the football.
Nick Froland as well. There's Froland. Where's number 92? Well, Logan Nemeth, what a day he's had. Over 100 yards here against a very stout Wisconsin-Whitewater run D.
He does a really good job when he's in space. He's able to get powerful down the field, and then he's got a burst good enough to allow him to run away from guys. And you see it here. This is the best defense they've seen all year, and the rushing numbers have been outstanding. 135 yards on the ground to 70 to Whitewater.
2nd and 11. Scott looking end zone. Overthrew Roman Nemdar. Nemdar in the corner of the end zone being covered by Sean Shilcox of Whitewater.
All right, so now here's where things get a little bit interesting, Michael. Mount Union doesn't typically kick field goals. They typically go for it here in the red zone, and they're 86% on the season inside the red zone. So I'm not so sure that this isn't two plays. You know, if you're Coach Karras and Jeff Dart, you're thinking you're scheming two plays to pick up 11 yards right now.
3rd and 11 with 4 wide receivers, and flags and whistles
Prior
stop
to
it.
snap, timeout, Mount Union.
You got to get the best two plays drawn up and make sure you get it off before a delay of game penalty occurs. And I truly believe that Coach Karras, as aggressive as he is in his nature, is considering absolutely going for it here on 3rd and 4th down if 4th down occurs.
Well, Vince Karras, so you see Vince in the white Mount Union Purple Raiders gear. Longest win streaks, 55 in a 4-year period for Mount Union. Vince Karras, had just joined his father's coaching staff at that time after his playing career here. We mentioned a couple other guys who were part of that. Matt Campbell, head coach. Head coach Iowa State, Jason Candle, now at Toledo. Those are guys that were players on the team at that point.
37 seconds. 3:37.
Wisconsin-Whitewater had a 36-game win streak going into that Wisconsin-Oshkosh game. Regular season game, the first one.
Right.
And, Coach Bullis told us before the season began, when he took the job over, he sat down with all his seniors, and they got together a plan for what they were going to do when they faced their first loss of the season, or if it ever happened. And they implemented that plan when it happened, and that's why they've been able to be so successful since then. And oh, by the way, just beat Oshkosh to put themselves in the semifinals.
They did last week on 3rd and 11. This is Scott. He's going to come up short, and we're going to get a hold, too, on Mount Union as that flag flew from the umpire in the middle of that Wisconsin-Whitewater defense. Now, will Kevin Bullis decline this? Now, he's going to bring up 4th down here, and more than likely get the field goal team on. Or do you back him up here and let him have that 3rd down shot again?
That's a great call. I'd probably back him up.
Holding, offense, number 34. That penalty's declined.
Okay, well.
4th down. Please
That's why I brought it up,
clock.
partner.
Well,
3:31.
I'll tell you what, man.
3:31.
That's why you're the coach.
That's
why you're the
coach.
coach.
You know what? No, I'm thinking right along.
Yeah.
If I'm Kevin Bullis, I'm doing the same thing too. They're going to go for 3 here. I'm not giving them another shot to pick up the 1st down again.
Well, by the way, keep an eye for a fake field goal here right now.
30-yard field goal attempt. And missed it wide left. It was pushed wide left by Jake Antle.
Officials timeout.
So the Kevin Bullis decision pays big dividends for Wisconsin-Whitewater. Their deficit remains at just 9. Antle, the operation was clean. He yanked it wide left. 15-6 Mount Union when we get back. So it remains a 9-point Mount Union lead at 15-6, and then Kevin Bullis, the head coach of Wisconsin-Whitewater, he took a shot there, not accepting that 3rd down penalty and turning the down box.
Well, I thought that Mount Union would go for it on 4th and 6 as opposed to them being backed up. That's why I thought they would take the penalty as opposed to going out there and kicking it. But good call by you, partner.
Now they'll run that throwback screen to big tight end Tony Gamina. I got to say, Dustin, do you think that, Tony, we saw it in the first, Tony Gamina and Brent Campbell. These are their two guys in that 12 personnel, which one back, two tight ends. Big targets.
Gamina and Brent Campbell, both of whom have become targets in this offense. They were inexperienced when they came to college, and they both have terrific hands. That's one of the things Coach loves about those tight ends.
Blitz coming. Well, Nelson stood tall and then delivered that rope and found Colton Hergich. That's 15 yards at a first down in the face of this blitz.
Well, that's the rope the coach is talking about this week. They said Chris Nelson, Craig Smith, offensive coordinator for Whitewater, said Chris Nelson is a gunslinger, but they just have to calm him down a little bit in knowing how you got to gun it and where you got to gun it to. And right there, Hergich on second down, able to pick up that first down right in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, because Heitschy was coming. Nelson. That pocket broke down. Sack time, Mount Union. Tom Lally, the senior. He's going to be a fireman in Columbus when he graduates here next spring.
It's at the all-time sack record at St. Ed's in Cleveland, and you're right, he's going to be fighting a fire in a couple of weeks when he graduates. Well, right now his fire is this Warhawks offense, and he is absolutely extinguishing it.
His dad is extinguishing it to be sure. Very nice play on words. His dad, a Cleveland firefighter, and loves to get in the weight room too. Nelson, crossing route, deflected, and caught! It was hauled in by Joe Worth. Now that throw on the level route was intended for Colton Hergich. Worth grabbed the deflection. That's 21 yards and a first down.
Joe Worth does everything for this team, and sometimes when you put in hard work and you stay around the football, good things happen. And right there, Joe Worth, the captain of this offense, gets a little bit lucky. But guess what? Some days you'd rather be lucky than good. And right there, big first down for the Whitewater offense.
He was able to out-battle Lewis Berry. Now Ratliff will burst through a big crease. Ratliff on that first down carry. He's been a little quiet of late as they've gone to the pass game. Jordan Ratliff gets 6 there to bring up 2nd and 4.
Mike, I don't think we've seen Ratliff since the first quarter. He's been absolutely invisible. I feel like Mount's defense and offense had put so much pressure on the Warhawks that they've had to go out here and attempt a lot of throws. Like, they're playing with pressure right now. Go back to some of that running game.
Clock running inside a minute and 20. Nelson. Durham alarms will yank him down as Nelson probably need to get rid of the football a little bit quicker.
I just think that right now Wisconsin-Whitewater is playing offensively like they're down 4 touchdowns. This is a 9-point game, a game that you're right within striking distance, and they're throwing the ball so much on 1st and 2nd down. It's just really surprising to me, especially with talking to the coaches this week and the balance that they have offensively. They're about as balanced as they can get, Michael. 231 yards per game on the ground, only 215 passing. Right now, they're throwing so much more than I thought coming into the game.
Oh, I agree with you on that, and it's something that possibly that head coach Kevin Bullis and Craig Smith will take a look at here at halftime, because they started really throwing the football like this on first down when they had a 6-0 lead.
It was odd because they were moving the ball. They got the 6 points off the drives where they were getting some big runs from Ratliff and moving the sticks, which obviously they're doing a little bit more now. But boy, Durham Alarms, Tom Lally, Mike Furta, Mike Vidal, those guys up front, all of a sudden they know you're going to throw the ball. What do? They pin their ears back, and they know that all of a sudden they can get to Nelson, put them behind the sticks, and that's what happened there on 2nd down.
Austin Aikens in on this defensive line front now for Mount Union. This is a 3rd and 10 for Chris Nelson. Nelson dumped it off to Gamina. Gamina came across the formation. He's very, very close to that Whitewater first down. Needed 10, got 10. Hank Spencer on the hit.
And Hank Spencer went for a little bit of a ride here, not only before he makes the tackle, but How about number 65, Austin Jones, the best offensive lineman, pushing Spencer, and he gets off the block to make the tackle.
And they're going to call it 4th and short. This clock is running at 45 seconds left. Nelson trying to get a push. Football came out. Football came out. Nelson, as he backed his way for what appeared to be a first down. Let's get it sorted out.
A lot to sort out here. Who has the football? Did he get the first down? And they have to move the sticks. If he did get the first downs, clock will stop. Whitewater still has 2 timeouts, but you have to start considering.
Timeout or measurement.
Also have to start considering when you want to use these timeouts here and make sure that you allow yourself enough time here to get some points before halftime. Something positive here in the second quarter. And by the way, you don't want to give the ball back to Mount Union.
Now, Wisconsin-Whitewater looked like they got a real nice spot. Now, the football is just inside the 33-yard line.
He spins. Chris Nelson spins very dangerously and puts that ball over the sticks. I'll tell you what, he was close. He's lucky they stopped it with forward progress, because if he didn't, that might have been Mount Union football.
Now, Chris Nelson got to get a couple plays ready to go in the huddle here from this. There's 39 seconds, and the clock is going to start on Ken Johnson's wind. Mount Union is going to take a time. They're going to for the spot. They're going to look at it for the spot, evidently. Now, the ball came out, let's remember, after Nelson had backed his way just inside the 33-yard line. But was a whistle blown at that point?
That's a good
to
question.
Signify the play being dead?
It's hard to tell what they're going to look at here. Watch it. He spins. He turns his back, and he sticks that ball. The ball's loose. I don't know who recovers that. I think Mount ends up with the football.
This is going to be very, very interesting. Again, what's going to have to be determined. Now, there's no question that Nelson had backed his way and extended with the spot they gave him. That's a first down. However, had a whistle blown to stop the play before the football came out.
To me, that's a first down. If they're looking at the spot here, clearly the ball was across the line.
He gained the first down.
Oh, yeah.
But again, did you blow the play dead before the football came out? On the field by whistle.
Big call. It always makes me nervous when quarterbacks or running backs do this. You extend the ball. It's not secured. It's very, very close. 33-yard line, the line to gain. I'm not going to be able to see much from that angle, but you do see the ball come out.
Now,
and if they're looking to see
who has the football,
you can't tell.
Who has the football?
You can't tell.
You see there Mike Furta, 86, for Mount Union, digging at it. So this is going to be interesting when Ken Johnson takes that headset off, our game referee today, and here is Johnson's decision.
After further review, the play stands. First down.
No harm, no foul.
Well, but so what they're saying, though, is off the extension, which was a first down, definitely. Then they deemed the play dead, right? Whistle blew. Forward progress stop, whistle blew, play over.
Right call. To me, I mean, from our vantage point, I think that's the right call.
All right, clock winding now. Nelson going to go with that inside counter. Ratliff got crushed. Dropped the football. That football's on the ground. Mount Union came away with it.
Well, they're going to say he was down. A little discussion here.
The runner's knee was down.
They got to hit a timeout.
Timeout, Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Now they're down to one timeout left. So you see Ratliff as he was being drilled by Will Heitschuh. Heitschuh in on the stop, along with Mike Furta. There's Furta, and then Heitschuh cleaned it up.
Well, it's a tough hit that Ratliff takes there. His knee kind of gets twisted as he's going down, and the football does come loose, but you're right, his knee was down. Now you have to be thinking ahead if you're Whitewater. Play calls. The clock is obviously a factor. You have one timeout remaining. It's second down. You've already kicked a field goal today. A couple field goals, I should say.
Yep.
Well over 44 yards. And you got to be thinking, well, how many more yards do we need to pick up here? How aggressive do we want to be? Well, make sure you get some points here before halftime.
And Lake Bacher's got a very, see, prominent leg.
No question.
I mean, you can get out of here at 15-9.
And here's why that's such a big win.
You're right where you want to be on the road against Mount Union.
Because it's a 9-point game because of that 2-point conversion that Mount converted earlier. If you can get 3 here, you cut it to 1 possession. That's huge.
Well, it's going to be 2nd down and 9. Now, remember, there's just 1 timeout left. Now, you got to be thinking of that, too. Wisconsin-Whitewater purposes for head coach Kevin Bullis, offensive coordinator Greg Smith. 1 timeout left with 28 ticks. 2nd and 9 for Nelson, going to put it up. Got flushed. Going to take a shot for Gumina off his hand. Incomplete. Alex Koshif in coverage. It's going to be a hold on Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Holding. 72 on the offense. 10-yard penalty remains 2nd down.
And that's a huge call. And absolutely you're going to back them up here because you know that they have an excellent field goal kicker. So now you get 2nd down back, but you lost some time, and you have to pick up another 10 yards just to get back to the line of scrimmage. And you'll start to run out of time with only 1 timeout remaining. 2nd and 19 coming up here.
Right, the line to make to move the sticks first down-wise is at the 23-yard line of Mount Union. So 2nd and 19.
I think if you're Whitewater, you got to be looking to get that football beyond the 30-yard line.
Yeah, to keep that field goal attempt maybe in that 46, 47, 48-yard area. Timeout, Mount Union.
Timeout.
Head coach Vince Karras, and there's his defensive coordinator Chris Kappas. They are working this. They're now down to just 1 timeout left. Neither head coach going to take any in their pocket as they go to break.
Why would you?
Don't want to.
You don't get a bonus at halftime.
Nope.
So use them. Make sure you have the right play call drawn up. Offensively, defensively, and what Coach Kappas did right there is he got to look at the personnel. He was able to see what Wisconsin-Whitewater brought out onto the field. Now he can go back, call that timeout, play a little bit of a chess match here. Because again, as I mentioned, they need to get the football within that 30-yard, inside the 30-yard line, maybe to the 25. And so it's a difficult position from Mount as a defensive standpoint because you have to remember, we want to be as deep as the deepest, wide as the widest, but you don't want to allow the underneath zones to be open for Whitewater to pick up the yardage to kick the field goal.
Winner advances next Friday night. You'll see it on ESPNU to the Stag Bowl. That's, of course, depicts the championship game in Division III football. And later on today, make sure you have the Watch ESPN app ready. On ESPN3 is Linfield and St. Thomas from Minnesota in the other semis. Winner of that gets the winner of this one in Salem, Virginia, next Friday night. All right, there's 22 seconds left. Kevin Bullis and his Warhawks of Whitewater still have a timeout in their pocket. 2nd and 19 for Chris Nelson. Nelson under pressure and dumped it off as he was being drilled by Hank Spencer.
27 was there, incomplete.
And Nelson is very, very lucky. I don't think he even saw Ratliff until the very last second, and Lowry's going to get him on the ground. This is nearly a sack. Last second just throws that ball away. That would have been intentional grounding had there not been a running back in the vicinity.
Yeah, this is 3rd and 19, but you know what? Forget about that. They need to pick up a good 10, 12 yards and use their timeout, Dustin, to be able to get Lake Bacher on to try to tack 3 more on the board. Football's at right from here to be 59 yards. Now, that's out of Bacher's range.
Keep an eye on Colton Hergich in the slot.
Prior snap, delay a game, offense.
Going the wrong direction.
5-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
Not what Whitewater offensively was looking for there. Now, you can add now they need to pick up 15 here on this 3rd down play to get Bacher a legitimate opportunity to put the 3 on the board.
What I would do, run a little screen here.
We'll see.
A little screen. You see how aggressive Mountain has been up front.
Out of the pistol. Run that inside draw. Not going to get Wisconsin-Whitewater what they need with Jordan Ratliff because Tom Lally again with help from Hank Spencer all over it.
Not a good sign.
Timeout, Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Jordan Ratliff is down. A little slow getting up.
Well, they got him up. He looks to be all right. But now with the football, that only gained 1. Football's at the 46-yard line, so field goal time is gone. Got to punt the football here, unless you want to take a shot,
No.
Dustin.
No, you can't, because if you turn the ball over on downs to Mount, they're already in position to take a Hail Mary. 10 seconds to go, you'd give the ball back to Mount with about, I don't know, a few seconds, possibly. Unless you think this play is going to take 10 seconds, then you say,
And that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
You want to throw the football in the end zone here.
Well, maybe that was the mindset there on third down to try and run some clock to then get yourself in a position for one last play.
Well, you talk about
I think they're going to punt it.
the X-scene and Owing that's been going on both sidelines here over the course of the last 5 minutes of actual real time, about a minute of game time.
Well, they're going to try a field goal here, Michael.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a 64-yard field goal attempt.
Holy smokes.
From Lake Bacher. We've seen him hit twice today. And you see Trey Jones is going to go back in a deep spot. Now, this could be returnable. Let's see. Bacher from 64 yards out. Way wide right. You know what? He had the distance.
Oh, he did.
He
Absolutely.
had the distance with 5 yards to spare from 64 yards. But it drifted wide right. 5 seconds left. And now possible one shot to the end zone time for Mount Union.
Yeah, I don't get this call. I mean, I guess if you have the leg, you do it. But now you give the ball back to Mount, and they have one shot to the end zone. Tariq Scott's arm is strong enough that he can get outside the pocket on the run where he's at his best and throw one downfield. But I think Mount's just going to take this one to halftime and say we're good.
Wisconsin-Whitewater has 5 defenders from their 25-yard line in. Tariq Scott's going to take a knee.
Okay.
How about that?
Oof.
For the first 30 minutes of football. Trailing 6-0. The Mount Union Purple Raiders offense exploded on back-to-back possessions. A couple of touchdowns, a 2-point conversion successful, and have grabbed a 15-6 lead, trying to win their 95th in a row here in their very friendly home confines of Mount Union Stadium. And it happened just that quickly after the first quarter was pretty much owned by that head coach, Kevin Bullis, his offensive coordinator, Craig Smith, and Wisconsin-Whitewater. Pleased to be joined by Vince Karras, head football coach of Mount Union, Michael Rega, Dustin Fox. Vince, your explosive offense put those 2 big drives together, but defensively, after that opening quarter, you've really put the clamps down on Whitewater. What's been the difference on that side of the ball?
Well, our guys are poised, and we know that we're playing against a championship team, and we're just trying to play within ourselves and one play at a time, and so far we're doing a good job at that.
Expect to see more Logan Nemeth in the second half, I assume?
I think Logan will get some carries.
Yeah.
Vince, appreciate your time. Good
Thanks,
luck,
guys.
Vince.
Appreciate it.
All right, Vince Karras, ultra-successful head football coach, played here. A coach on his father, Larry, the legendary winningest coach all time in college football. And Logan Nemeth has been extraordinary today. 114 yards in the first half as he has dented the Wisconsin-Whitewater D. 15-6 Mount Union will roll halftime in a moment.
ESPN, home of the New Year's Six and the College Football Playoff.
Now you've enjoyed the first 30 minutes of football as these 2 Division III perennial powers, Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union, go after one another. Mount Union Stadium here in Alliance, Ohio. The prize for the winner today is a trip to Salem, Virginia next week. Let's take a look at the just unbelievable dominance in the last 10 football seasons in Division III. You only see one other program there, and that is the fine program from St. Thomas of Minnesota that has been able to penetrate this stranglehold that Mount Union and Wisconsin-Whitewater have had on deciding Division III championships. Next week, We'll find one of these programs in Salem, Virginia, the 2015 Stag Bowl. We invite you to mark it down on your viewing calendars right now. It begins at 7 o'clock Eastern. You'll see it, of course, on ESPNU. 30 minutes of football, maybe more, still to come. Wisconsin-Whitewater and Mount Union with a championship feeling. We're back in a moment. We're at halftime, Mount Union Stadium, Alliance, Ohio. It's one of the two Division III semifinal battles between the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and the University of Mount Union. The spirit of a young Clemson fan lives on, joined together by a photograph and the support of the Tigers community. Here's Marty Smith with an in-depth look.
On South Carolina Saturdays every fall, more than 80,000 loyal and passionate Clemson Tigers football fans pack the stadium they affectionately call Death Valley.
Deion King turns it up at the 30. King off to the race and then into the end zone. Touchdown!
But this past spring, Death Valley was quiet and empty when Clemson Public Relation Director Ken Scarr, an avid photographer, found a stuffed animal tiger at the highest point in the stadium. He took a snapshot and started a phenomenon.
Thousands of people got onto our social media platforms and voted to name this thing Lachlan. We were all wondering, well, Lachlan, and it turns out Lachlan has a lot to do with Clemson and the Clemson family.
In November 2012, avid Clemson fans Jason and Mary Tannery had identical twin boys, Calhoun and Lachlan, and immediately began passing that passion on to the next generation, especially Lachlan.
From the time that he knew anything, we always played Tiger Rag, and they would do Rawr and Go Tigers, and they would do the best they could to do the Tiger chant.
Shortly after the boys turned 1, the family noticed Lachlan was getting sick more frequently than Calhoun, with multiple ear infections. They took Lachlan to the doctor.
We found out when he was 19 months that he had JMML, which is a very rare form of leukemia. It actually only affects approximately 25 children in the United States every year, so it's about 1 in a million. It rocked our world. Things don't happen to children, typically, so it was devastating.
The Tannerys soon learned that Lachlan's only hope was a bone marrow transplant that promised less than a 50% chance of survival. His approach to treatment taught the Tannerys true emotional strength, and that every day is a gift.
He was just the most calm, happy child you would ever see in a hospital. After his transplant, he had maybe 12 syringes he'd have to take by mouth orally. He would take them and just do them himself and just smile the whole time. He was a trooper, he really was.
The Tannerys instantly began advocating for Be the Match, a program to raise awareness for the importance of bone marrow transplant testing. The Clemson community rallied around them, including founding a Be the Match chapter at Clemson University. That effort will change and potentially save many lives. But it would not be enough to save Lachlan, who relapsed in March.
We were there for our second transplant, and we were told we couldn't proceed. So the most difficult thing was to bring Lachlan home, to live his days here with us and not in the hospital. We just kept hoping that something was going to change. We were waiting for a miracle, and we got it. You know, he's in heaven. I miss him like crazy. Jason and I both do. We all do. But at the end of the day, there was a bigger plan for him.
Lachlan Tannery passed away May 7th, 2015. He was 2.5 years old. 2 weeks after his death, the serendipitous snapshot was taken and gave life to a groundswell movement in Death Valley to remember this precious, roaring soul.
What a phenomenal story, and also a reminder of what this game can do in the community. I think that's the epitome of what the Clemson family is all about.
It's been an amazing thing to watch because it gives us peace that, Lachlan's still here, he's still making an impact.
Since then, Lachlan the Tiger has been photographed at several positions across the Clemson campus. Each one is a special reminder of a courageous young boy. His spirit may not live within that tiger, but his spirit now lives within tigers everywhere.
Thank you, Marty, for that heartfelt, poignant look. When we get back, we'll take a look at the statistical story and the highlights from the first half of football. Mount Union Stadium, Division III semifinal. That's next here on ESPN.
Looking at the scoring.
15-6, Mountain Union leads Wisconsin-Whitewater in one of the two Division III semifinals. Hope you're enjoying all across our ESPN family and networks. Michael Regai alongside Dustin Fox. And if you're head coach Kevin Bullis and his staff of Wisconsin-Whitewater, this is how you strategize at halftime, Dustin.
A little meeting outside the locker room, get away from the players, and sort of strategize as to how you're going to attack this Mount Union defense in the second half. Remember, they scored 21 points last week against Oshkosh to help seal off that victory. It was huge. We'll see how they respond here in the third quarter.
Yeah, they had a 6-0 lead, put together two very effective drives to start the football game, and then the key plays started to begin for Therese Scott.
Big plays, and a big one there from Roman Namdar on the outside, and then Therese Scott really got going with the touchdown run there. A little trickeration on the PAT turns into a two-point conversion throw back to the kicker, but it's really been about the defense, especially of Mount Union. Getting it done up front, Tom Lally, big number 90, and the interception here from Mike Furta. In the first quarter, Whitewater got it going offensively, but they really clamped down in the second quarter. Tom Lally with a big sack there. And again, towards the end of the first half, another big sack from Durham alums.
205 total yards for Wisconsin-Whitewater in the first half, but a lot of that came from those first couple of drives, and they moved the football extremely well. The second one out of from their own 1 yard line that resulted in points. You see the average drive start there.
What's amazing, Michael, is that there only is 1 yard that separates them with total offense.
We'll see what the third quarter of the second half brings. Who's going to the Stag Bowl next Friday night? We'll decide that when we return to Mount Union Stadium. Pleased to be joined by Wisconsin-Whitewater head coach Kevin Bullis. Kevin, first couple of drives of football game, you moved it very, very well offensively with a heavy dose of Jordan Ratliff. What do you have to get accomplished to get back to that effective offensive game?
No doubt. I mean, to me, the biggest thing is just having balance in our game. I mean, any time that we're able to get into a balanced game, run, pass, and be able to get into our tempo, you know what, gentlemen, then we can feel good about it. Obviously, the turnover, coming up short a couple times on those, third or ended up being 4th and 1s, and we had to punt the ball. Those are the things that have to happen. But again, we got to have that tempo. We got to have that balance.
How do you attack the second half, especially with that defense that has really gotten some pressure on your quarterback, Chris Nelson?
And I think I'm going to, I hate to be redundant here, but I mean, any time that you become one-dimensional and allow them to come on and tee off on your quarterback, that's when they have an advantage. And we got predictable. We can't do that.
Good luck in the second half, Kevin. Appreciate your time.
You bet, gentlemen. Thank you.
The shutouts this year, as we mentioned, for the Mount Union Purple Raiders defensively. I mean, they only allow 7 points a game. 6 shutouts, Dustin, with the lowest margin of victory is the 42-0 over Baldwin Wallace.
And what was impressive about those shutouts, Michael, is that there was a streak there of 3 games, 3-game shutouts. And, of course, somebody had to score at some point. Then 3 more shutouts to end the season. Of course, Wilmington, Otterbein, Baldwin Wallace all were unable to get any points.
15-6. 9-point separation as Mount Union will get the football to begin the second half. And that big right leg of that young man right there, we've seen it. Lake Bacher, 64-yard field goal attempt. It had the distance. Now, he missed it 10 yards wide right, but he had the distance from 64 yards away. So we'll keep that in mind with that big leg. Third quarter. Rolling for us right now out of a Mount Union Stadium. Lewis Berry from the goal line. Berry with a burst. Excellent return to the 39-yard line. Very special Lewis Berry, the true freshman out of Shadyside Academy in the football city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
A little bit of a knuckleball on the kickoff, but Barry takes it on the run, and he has a huge seam to burst through in that Whitewater coverage team and really sets this offense up, the Mount Union offense, in excellent field position.
Now, we talked to just Kevin Bullis. We talked a lot about the philosophy for Wisconsin-Whitewater offensively, but don't you think defensively here, these first couple of possessions are going to be real key for them in the second half?
I'll tell you what, a 3-and-out here for the Warhawk defense would go a long way to really helping build some momentum and confidence for your offense.
Logan Nemeth. Well, look at Nemeth. Hit at the line of scrimmage and still managed to wiggle his way for 3. You saw initially Zach Franz had him by that jersey, and Nemeth pulled away from him.
Well, they always talk about grabbing cloth and getting him on the ground. That's what Franz did there. Take a look at the Mount Union drive chart. Started out the game a little bit of a struggle at the punt, then a couple of touchdown drives, quick touchdown drives, and then it really got away from there in the second quarter.
Scott going to throw that bubble screen. This is Jordan Hargrove. He was swarmed on as that's Dylan Morang. Morang, as we've seen over there in that one quarter, and Sean Shilcox. Shilcox, the strong safety, making the stops. And, the omnipresent Matt Seitz as well.
Yeah, I thought Matt Seitz does a good job here. Maybe a potential block in the back here as well on Seitz right there. But then Seitz fights off it, pursues, allows the rest of the Warhawk defense. How many guys there? 7 defenders getting him on the ground.
We just mentioned here's that 3rd and 5, an opportunity for the Wisconsin-Whitewater D. Scott, misdirection Nemeth. Going to come up about a yard shy of that first down at the 47. They ran that inside misdirection, and staying home was Wisconsin-Whitewater along that front 4, and they got their 3-and-out stop.
That's all you had to do. You got to get off the field. You couldn't allow a chunk play here, and the defense really looks inspired to me. How many white jerseys do you see in the screen getting around the football? Great job defensively, and it's the stop they needed for their offense.
On 4th and 2. Dylan Morang running up to field that kick. Well, it's going to take a fortuitous Wisconsin-Whitewater bounce, about 8 yards worth back up the football field. Wisconsin-Whitewater, first possession, trailing by 9, 3rd quarter after this timeout. Delighted you're with us for our NCAA Division III football championship presented by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Michael Regai, Dustin Fox. Hey, and a big salute to all watch parties going on today. That's right. Students, alumni, fans, Wisconsin-Whitewater at the Timmerman Auditorium University Center. They're cheering hard for their Warhawks. And here in the city of Alliance, a member of the Fox family has something going on.
No question, my older brother Derek, a member at the ACC down the road. About 50 guys watching this, a lot of alums as well.
Love that. And a big salute to all of you at Timmerman Auditorium in the campus of Wisconsin-Whitewater and over at the Alliance Country Club for the Mount Union Purple Raiders. That's Joe Worth making that grab. Worth on the catch as Chris Nelson comes out throwing. They hook up for 4. Jordan Ratliff back to the ground game. Will power his way through a couple of tackles before he finally steps out of bounds at the 45-yard line. That's 11 for Jordan Ratliff and a first down.
It's a powerful run here off to the left side. You see him get through the block. Tim Lally surprisingly misses a tackle. That rarely happens on that defense. Coach F's able to get him on the ground, but a very powerful run from Ratliff.
Nelson to put it up on first down. He's going to take a shot over the top. Well, Hudson had some separation. Marcus Hudson had separated from Trey Jones. Jones was getting help from Alex Koshev.
Now, I'm not sure what happens at the end of this play, but to me it looks like, lay out for that thing. It looked very close to being a big hitter for this offense. It's like he got a little alligator arms there from Marcus Hudson. I'm not sure that I want to question the guy's effort, but man, it seems like he could have made a play there.
Now he's their big play guy.
Yeah.
He can stretch you out and get you over the top. Tremendous relationship with Chris Nelson. They've worked extremely hard all summer. Back to the ground game with Jordan Ratliff. And you see that linebacking core of Mount Union, John Gannell, Young man from Pembroke Pines, Florida, wears number 8. He and Hank Spencer combined for the stop. But again, they're going without their third mate, Josh Stewart, today, out.
Yeah, Stewart's a big linebacker. They're going to miss him defensively. Zach Deere in there in the starting role, but a good job there on second down. Now you're in a passing situation here again for the Warhawk offense.
On 3rd and 9, play action. Nelson in trouble. His throw is incomplete. He wanted Brett Campbell. Flag flying late. That's going to be an interference call. It'll keep the drive alive for Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Well, you can tell there was some contact and obviously some jersey tugging as Campbell was coming across. I think you're going to get either a defensive hold or a pass interference. Not sure which one it's going to be, but either one's going to be an automatic first down for this defense, for this offense, I should say.
We'll listen to referee Ken Johnson.
Pass interference, defense, number 22. Automatic first down.
Will Heichu, the 205-pound senior, the guilty party. Heichu nearby here out of Medina High School.
Take a look. Look at the jersey grab right there. Actually, I think they got the wrong number. It was on Nick Rodriguez who's grabbing the jersey. Heichu's nowhere near the play. You got to correct it. It was on Rodriguez. That's who was matched up there with Brent Campbell. Big-time jersey grab.
So that penalty keeps this drive alive. Ratliff tried to cut back, and he ran right into Tom Lally, Father Tim.
Well, Ratliff's just going to try and stretch this one outside, but the one thing he does so well is cut back. The problem is you're not cutting back against teams in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. This is Mount Union, a team that has won 94 straight home games, and they play with their hair on fire defensively. They surround the ball extremely fast. They play with intensity, a lot of speed on that defense, and Ratliff is not used to seeing a defense quite like this.
All right, Campbell motion on 2nd and 9. Misdirection. This is Ware. And Ware maybe got a couple. He's the change of pace running back for Wisconsin-Whitewater. Gerard Ware, the 182-pound freshman out of Bradley, Illinois.
And one of the things they say about the playoffs is when you have all these extra weeks of practice, it allows young guys to get reps in practice. You see Jared Ware there, the young freshman who's getting involved here. It's almost like a spring practice because you have an extra 3-4 weeks of
invaluable.
Absolutely, and that's why these teams who continue to get here in the playoffs have been able to develop young talent.
On 3rd and 7, Nelson going to take a shot for Hudson. Broken up beautifully by Trey Jones. He played nickel as a freshman in 2012 on the national championship team. He's the best, and Dustin, a true 4-4 guy speed-wise.
He is, but we've got a slight problem here, Houston. Trey Jones goes down, gets a little bit banged up, and he got hurt last week in that game against Wesley. And he's a little bit ginger getting up here on this play. Keep an eye on that matchup because he's been able to lock down Hudson all day.
Lake Bacher will turn this over beautifully. Kennedy will watch it bang down near the goal line. Did that punt cover team get the football stopped? They did not. That back judge is letting us all know it got in the end zone.
Officials timeout. Timeout.
Now as Trey Jones gets looked at by the Mount Union training staff. That close for the punt cover team of Wisconsin-Whitewater. The lead for Mount Union remains at 9. (15-6) Mount Union on top of Wisconsin-Whitewater. ESPN's NCAA Championship coverage continues tomorrow. D2 Championship on ESPN2 at 4 p.m. For more info, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. Therese Scott back to work. Got away from pressure. But Therese Scott extending plays for 11 yards worth and a Mount Union first down. He is so elusive and shifty in being able to get out of danger, Dustin.
Michael, he's a wide receiver / running back playing quarterback. He's so dynamic. Look at how he just kind of hits that stick and puts that foot in the ground and gets upfield. Reminds me a lot, frankly, of Braxton Miller when he was playing quarterback.
Back to the ground game. This is Logan Nemeth. Nemeth got corralled there. Well, getting off some blocks to make hits was Paul Foster. Foster out of Janesville. Craig High School. Really understands the defensive concepts well. That young man right there, he reads it very well, especially in the run game. 2nd down and 8 now for Therese Scott. Through that sideline shot, and it was hauled in by Jordan Hargrove. That's good for 17 yards. So Scott showing you his ability to hang out that frozen rope, Dustin.
Well, there was about a yard of separation between the cornerback on the outside and the safety. There's a little window in cover 2, and that's the only place you can put it. And that's very close to being out of bounds. His right foot, I'm not so sure, he maybe touched that sideline.
Nemeth ran into Justin Dishler. Dishler, 47 in white, Pius X High School. That very strong program out of the city of Milwaukee. As you see the outstanding cover corner Trey Jones for the Mount Union Purple Raiders.
They need him. They're going to need him on defense, especially if Whitewater has to continue playing from behind and throwing. That's their best corner. If he's unable to go, I'm not sure if he's going to go back in the game, but that's a matchup to keep an eye on.
On 2nd and 7, Scott zips that throw to Roman Namdar. He just sat down in that void, Dustin, and the football came out on time.
Well, the zip on Therese Scott's throws here, especially in the second half, have been really impressive. He just sits back here. He lets this play develop. How about that right there? Almost a sidearm throw to Namdar on the money.
Different arm angles for Therese Scott.
Arm angles. Look at you. Going back to all the
yeah.
quarterbacking days.
Yeah. Trying to get him stopped. Can't get Logan Nemeth stopped real easily as well. Nemeth, Dustin, would you say, is anybody we've seen this year, yards after first contact, just almost on every carry for him?
Well, we've done about 15 games this year, Michael, and there's a little face mask that was missed on that play, but you're right, Nemeth is slippery of running back as we've seen by far. It's almost like he's got Vaseline on his jersey. He's sliding through these holes and breaking tackles.
Look at that shot out of the secondary as Therese Scott hit Tim Kennedy, and Kennedy got absolutely drilled by Vince Mason, junior out of Green Bay.
Kennedy's going to earn this one. That's a near leg, near shoulder, clinic quality tackle from Mr. Mason coming up from his secondary spot, but problem was it's a first down.
Picked up the yardage to move the chains, so Mount Union on the move. This drive started at their 20-yard line after they forced that possession change. Bradley Mitchell got the edge. On the speed of Mitchell, he gets that corner turn quickly. Finally rolled out of bounds by Dylan Morang. Mitchell got 4 in that first down tote.
I still think Bradley Mitchell's not back to 100%. If he was, he'd be getting more touches. But you can see his speed, especially when he gets to the edge. Good tackle there at the end, though, by Dylan Morang to stay in his position, make sure he stays outside, and gets Bradley Mitchell on the ground.
He got another stride before he got pushed to that boundary. Give him 6 there. Back to Nemeth. On Nemeth again, spinning off tackles and powers inside the 15. First down, Logan Nemeth. Again, it's virtually every carry, Dustin. He doesn't go down on the first hit.
And he runs behind Tyler Baker there, and he does a good job with his vision. He does a little sidestep cut, and he bursts upfield. He doesn't waste any time dancing in the hole. That's why he has been so successful, and especially in the second half, he is running downhill in a big way.
87% on the year, 1 of 2 today. Nemeth looking for the edge. Logan Nemeth powering inside the 5 down near the 4-yard line. Lane Clark out there ushering Nemeth on that edge. The tight end.
Coach was raving about Lane Clark, number 45, right there working on Paul Foster. Gets that little stock block down the field. The effort from these Mount Union blockers down the field.
Nemeth with power off the right side. He's in the end zone. Touchdown, Mount Union. Logan Nemeth.
just power. Look at the offensive line. Look at Michael Frank, Mitch Doherty. They're just overpowering Wisconsin-Whitewater in that position. They're all blocking down, and Logan Nemeth knows exactly what to do. He runs behind Michael Frank and gets in the end zone.
26th rushing touchdown on the year for Logan Nemeth, who last week 2 TDs and 218 yards in the win over Wesley. He's at $153 today, and he knows where that final stripe to the end zone is. Extraordinary performance once again from Logan Nemeth, who continues to churn out yardage and TDs.
Grounding and pounding behind that big offensive line, especially on that drive. It was mostly Nemeth in a big way, and really finished his runs. That's what's so impressive about him. Talking to some of the folks here at Mount, they said, he's going to go down as one of the all-time rushers here at Mount Union, and really compares to some of the greats who played the position.
Another unreturnable kickoff from Austin Downey. That's his fourth kickoff that he's boomed, not returnable on the afternoon. The impressive thing going back to Logan Nemeth, Dustin Fox, is that 21 plays on the year of 25 yards or better, and 6 of those from 25 yards out or more have gone for TDs.
Explosive and knows how to find the end zone.
The numbers on the day, averaging a very healthy 6.5 yards per tote. Could we make the statement that this is the biggest offensive possession of the afternoon now for the number 5 seed, the Warhawks of Wisconsin-Whitewater? They'll start the drive with their All-American candidate running the football, Jordan Ratliff. Dustin, the first 2 possessions today, they put 6 points on the board. They've not been heard from since, and now trail by 16.
Well, they had over 125 yards of total offense in that first quarter, and it looked like they were going to get off to a fast start. Mount did a good job holding them to field goals, but now playing from behind, you're forced to pass a little bit more than you probably would like.
Ratliff trying to get some blocks over there on the edge. Really didn't materialize. Mike Vidal wears number 99 on the stop. Good sign. Trey Jones, number 5 for Mount Union, is back at his cornerback duties and back in the football game.
He's back in the game, but I'm watching him from up here in the booth, and he does not look 100% comfortable out there. And if I'm Whitewater, I'm taking a look at that matchup, and I'm going to challenge it. He's matched up against Marcus Hudson here on the outside, number 7, right there at the bottom of your screen. If I'm Chris Nelson, take a look outside there and just see if he's healthy, see if he's okay. Take a shot.
3rd and 6 with the 2 big tight ends in the formation. Backside pressure and the sack again from Durham Alarms, as just quite frankly, Chris Nelson had nowhere to go with the football.
Well, Nelson was looking at his receiver Hudson off to the right side. He's trying to run about a 12-yard comeback to the sideline. Well, Trey Jones was all over it, and at the end of the play, Hudson takes off down the field, but by that point in time, the suffocating defense from the Purple Raiders got there in time.
And a defense that continues to dominate football games. Bacher to hang that punt high. It'll be fair caught by Tim Kennedy. Now, Mount Union lost, 3 football games in the Vince Karras reign as head coach here, and 2 of them have been in National 2 football, both of them in national championship games, Stag Bowls, to Wisconsin-Whitewater.
To think that he's been coaching here for 3 seasons and his only losses have come against Wisconsin-Whitewater. I was talking to him this week in our conference calls, and you get the sense that you sort of lose a little bit of sleep over those ones. The losses always eat at you a little bit more, probably a little bit more motivation going into the game like this.
Nemeth got a couple as of this time. Paul Foster, those outside linebackers making that first hit. Foster got some help as well from Yuri Pogoyshin. The young man is one of those backup D-liners. Pogoyshin, number 96.
Whitewater needs a turnover here in a bad way. They need something positive to happen defensively. I mentioned earlier, you look at Therese Scott, sometimes he tends to run with that football not quite as tight as you like. I'd be trying to be opportunistic as a defense and try and scour out that football and get it on the turf so you can recover it and get a turnover.
2nd and 8. That's straight quarterback keep. Therese Scott. Again, Dustin Fox calls it the circle button on Xbox, and that's exactly what he did. Pagosian looked like he had him dead to rights.
Well, it's the B button on the Xbox. It's the circle on a PlayStation. Either way, it's a spin move, and it's a highlight reel type of play for Therese Scott, and he's able to get upfield to allow a much, much more manageable 3rd down. He was dead to rights in the backfield.
Thank you for correcting me on Xbox PlayStation, because I don't want the young folks to...
Well, the kids, the millennials, they know
that's right. They know
what we're talking about.
You're right. 3rd and 3. Scott, step up. A lot of green in front of him. He'll slide down. 1st down at the 45-yard line, moving the sticks once again as we get late 3rd quarter here in Alliance, Ohio.
Therese Scott knows that you don't want to force any throws late in the down. A turnover would be devastating to the offense. Smartly tucks it, picks up the 1st down.
And quite the afternoon last week in that quarterfinal win over Wesley when he threw for the 5 touchdowns and 330 yards. Nemeth threw a gaping hole with speed to the secondary. Logan Nemeth, 19 more yards. He ran for 218 last week and on that kind of track again today.
Just keep adding them up. And it's going to be about 10 yards down the field, maybe 15 yards down the field before first contact is even made against Logan Nemeth. So he's getting some big-time holes to run through from his offensive line. Those guys up front deserve a lot of credit for allowing Nemeth to have a big day.
Now Scott again will deliver late and play pitch and catch with Tim Kennedy. Kennedy on that bubble screen off the play fake. He's got 12 and a 1st down. But Dustin from left to right, Brooks Jenkins, a big left tackle, Michael Frank at left guard, Mitch Doherty to center, Tyler Baker to right guard, and the sophomore Matt Fitchett at right tackle. Wow, have they been dominant today.
Those boys up front deserve a lot of credit. A lot of credit. A lot of them have had playoff experience, but they're all looking for their first national championship here. Most of them, I should say.
They're knocking on the door of the red zone, if not the end zone again. Nemeth. Good cut. Nemeth inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. He got 5 more on that 1st down carry. Well, Dustin, I mean, you look at him. We saw him in the weight room the other day at practice. $195, 5'10", but he doesn't look like he'd be this imposing downhill taking the contact he does.
It's just amazing. He must have some serious strength in those legs because he's so powerful at the end of his runs. You know, he's 195 pounds. If you saw him on the street, you wouldn't think he's a huge tailback. But, boy, he plays much bigger than his body type.
Scott off the play fake. Going to take a shot in the end zone. Kennedy made a tremendous grab. Touchdown. Tim Kennedy, Mount Union.
Well, this is Therese Scott going to Tim Kennedy over the middle. And you know why he has such good chemistry with Tim Kennedy? Because Therese Scott played that slot receiver position last year, so he knows everything that you have to do to play that position. Tim Kennedy with his 4th touchdown reception of the season and a dime dropped by Therese Scott.
Yeah, that's what ESPN quarterbacking guru Trent Dilfer would call it, and that was exactly what it was. Well, you mentioned earlier the way that Scott sometimes will just flick that wrist.
Flick of the wrist, as the young kids call it these days. Michael?
Tim Kennedy showing his hops. Just a wonderful catch for 6 for Kennedy on the year. That is his 5th touchdown grab. Last week he caught a touchdown pass in that quarterfinal win. This is a rapidly moving 3rd quarter, with now the lead having been stretched to 23. So we're talking about a 3-possession football game now as we're going to enter the 4th quarter. This is the most trouble that Wisconsin-Whitewater has been in all season long.
Well, it's troubling because they're not a quick strike offense. They sustain drives. They're a very balanced team offensively. And now they're forced here, Michael, being down 23 points with about 15 minutes and change to go in this ball game with their season on the line, that they have to go into a different strategy offensively. It's going to be taking some shots down the field. It's going to be mostly passing game, mixing some runs at times, but every possession is going to be vital. They're going to need some points, and it starts right here on this drive coming up.
Austin Downey looking for his 5th non-returnable kickoff of the day. He just hasn't given Whitewater much of an opportunity on kick returns. Canton Larson, Nick Patterson in the deep spots. Here's a returnable for Canton Larson. Larson will drive the pile to the 30-yard line, and that is where, with just 20 seconds left in the third quarter, Wisconsin-Whitewater's offense got to go to work. And by go to work, we mean that they average 40 points a game. And let's take a look at their offensive resume on the year, Wisconsin-Whitewater. And Dustin, as you see it on the norm, and today, again, a tribute to the problems they're being given by this Mount Union D.
Very characteristic of what Warhawk team's about and what they have done on the season. Just not been able to get the ball in the end zone. That's been the biggest problem. And really giving up the rushing yards has really put their defense in a tough spot.
They'll start this drive from the 30-yard line with Jordan Ratliff and just nowhere to go. Coming up from that safety spot does a tremendous job, Alex Koshef. Koshef, the senior out of Kenston High School here in Northeast Ohio, Chagrin Falls. Now Nelson got that off, will set up screen, and this is Jordan Ratliff. Could not get into open space as he's dragged down after a gain of 4 by linebacker Jonathan Gunnell. Third quarter dominated. 2 touchdowns worth by the Mount Union Purple Raiders.
Logan Nemeth with a huge afternoon has been getting it going for the Purple Raiders as they lead 29-6. Fourth quarter coming up next.
Certainly hope you're enjoying our NCAA Division III Football Championship presented by our good friends at Northwestern Mutual. Mount Union Stadium, the home of winning here in Alliance, Ohio. I'm Michael Regai with my partner Dustin Fox, all of our ESPN crew as we start quarter number 4. Nelson got hit on delivery, and that throw incomplete as Durham Alarms again in on that first hit as Mount Union's got their dime package on the football field there in that 3rd and long.
A lot of pressure coming from this Mount Union defense, just trying to get it off to his wide receiver, Joe Worth, over the middle there. But again, when Mount Union knows they're in passing situations, it allows them to pin their ears back, and they've created a lot of pressure, a lot of havoc in that backfield for Chris Nelson on the afternoon.
Well, Lake Bacher has been a very busy young man today with the 2 field goal hits and a lot of punts, as this will roll to a stop in front of Tim Kennedy of Mount Union at the 24-yard line. So really hope you're enjoying this today. Coming up, of course, the second Division III semi. Make sure you check it out on Watch ESPN, and on ESPN3 is Linfield and St. Thomas go after one another. That'll start at 3:30 Eastern Time this afternoon. And Therese Scott has been most efficient. He has been effective. And after they trailed 6-0, his drives have been very, very strong.
And here's where Mount Union has to go against what they like to do. They've got to slow this game down in terms of the tempo, because they got to limit the possessions they want to give to Wisconsin-Whitewater. And they're a team that really succeeds and has a most beneficial offense when they are able to run quick plays. So this actually helps Wisconsin-Whitewater to get the football back.
Well, Vince Karras' football team, when you look at it, they're number 1 in points per game in D3, 55, as we've told you many times today. The 31st downs a game and better, that's number 1. Number 2 in total offense, 565 yards a game. And they rush it for 318 yards per game. That's almost picked off as Therese Scott wanted to find his tight end, Lane Clark, but Jumping that route was Matt Seitz. Seitz on the pass breakup, Whitewater.
Seitz is really long and athletic, and he shows it here. Coach was saying how much they love him in coverage this week, and right there he shows it running step for step with Lane Clark, the big tight end from Perrysville, Indiana. Seitz a young player, sophomore, who they like a lot. It's really developing into a pretty good outside backer.
18 Stag Bowls since 1993 has this Mount Union program participated in. There's misdirection, and this is Logan Nemeth. Well, Nemeth again. That line to make was the 34 as he powered his way near the 35. First down, Nemeth on the 3rd and 7 carry.
That one hurts because I think Matt Seitz is really close to getting him on the ground. He grabs his jersey here at the end. He's got the angle, but then Nemeth bursts on him a little bit and then takes a couple of Whitewater defenders to get him on the ground. But that was so close to being able to get off the field and get the football back to your offense. Now you're looking at Mount being able to burn a couple more minutes off the clock potentially, unless you get a turnover, which would really, really help the Warhawks.
Just underway in this 4th quarter with Mount Union on the attack again. Nemeth, second level. It seems almost on every carry now. It's 7, 9, 12, 15 yards for Logan Nemeth. That burst into that initial seam is most impressive.
But just take a look at Michael Frank. He's so powerful, working against Tamzit and Franz up in the middle of that defensive line. But career high for rushes today for Logan Nemeth, 29 carries. Boy, almost 200 yards.
$1.99 for Logan Nemeth. Scott to put it up, triggering the out that's hauled in for a first down by Jordan Hargrove making the catch. And again, though, Nemeth last week, 218 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And Dustin, we've seen him with his 26th rushing touchdown in the 3rd quarter today. So he is just one of the most dominant running backs that we have in any level of college football. Scott's going to keep the football off that read option and got 3 to the 50-yard line. Again, it's Matt Seitz in on the stop. Been impressed with this linebacking group. Seitz, Dishler, and Foster, very active. Of course, they've had to deal with that guy all day, Logan Nemeth.
They have been active, but the problem is they've been making a lot of tackles down the field because Nemeth and Therese Scott have been able to get through the first wave of defense from the Warhawks, and I'm impressed with them too. I'll be honest with you. They're very athletic. They run the football extremely well, make a lot of tackles, but they've got to do a better job trying to slow down the offensive line.
Scott, play action. Going to take a shot deep. Trying to accelerate to the football was Jordan Hargrove, and Scott overthrew him. But if you're long, if you're a quarterback, if you're long, you're never wrong. Right, Dustin Fox?
Long, you're never wrong, and he's going for Hargrove, who, folks remember the name LeBron James at Akron St. Vincent, St. Mary High School. Well, Jordan Hargrove broke a lot of records, wide receiving records that LeBron had when he was in high school there, and he's really developed into a nice wide receiver. No question, taking some shots down the field to Hargrove there, who has had some hamstring injuries his first couple years at Mount, but now has really developed into a solid wide receiver.
Now he has had to battle back from the injury bug. 3rd and 7. Scott to extend the play. Scott firing in a crowd. It was almost picked off by Matt Seitz. Seitz had that football in his hands as Scott tried to fit that into a real tight window, incomplete.
Boy, dangerous throw from Therese Scott, but this is a good stop for the Warhawk defense to get the football back. A positive return here would obviously go a long way to helping set up this offense because they're down 23 points. They've got to score in a hurry, Michael.
Adam Snyder to hit it away for Mount Union. That fair catch accepted by Dylan Moran. All right. A lot of time left, 11:43. Points, touchdowns needed by the 5 seed Warhawks of Wisconsin-Whitewater. They're down. 29-6 Mount Union led at 15-6 at halftime. The 2 third-quarter touchdowns have now opened up this 23-point advantage. Here's our Northwest Mutual planning for success. This is how, Dustin, we evaluated it as we began today.
Well, controlling the line up front for Wisconsin-Whitewater was obviously going to be one of the keys coming in. They have not been able to do that. Obviously, Mount's been able to do such a good job running on the ground between the tackles and in the trenches.
Good burst there from Jordan Ratliff. Ratliff, 217-pound senior out of Milwaukee Vincent High School. We showed you the map earlier on between Milwaukee to the east in the state of Wisconsin and Madison to the west. That recruiting area extends down to Chicago. Has been very, very good for Kevin Bullis and this Warhawks program. Ratliff nowhere to go there, as coming up and making the hit out of the secondary was defensive back Heitschu. This senior-laden secondary has been terrific for Mount Union all year long.
And it starts with the safeties. Heitschu and Kochev have been the leaders back there. And when you have a corner like Trey Jones on the outside who can lock down one side of the field, which is what he's been able to do against Marcus Hudson today, it really goes a long way in terms of allowing your defensive coordinator, Chris Kappas, to call a game plan where they can create a lot of pressure.
Blitz coming. Look out. Well, standing tall was Nelson, and he got that throw off, although it was hauled in by wide receiver Joe Worth, short of the sticks. Going to be at their own 23-yard line, but this is 4th and 2, trailing by 23 points.
Well, delayed pressure from Hank Spencer, going to kind of wind around and bring the pressure to get Chris Nelson on the ground. He's able to get the football off, but again, this is 4-down territory here. You have to go for this. There's not going to be that many possessions left in the game, and Mount's defense struggling here to change up the personnel, running in Zach Deere late before the snap.
On 4th and 2, Ratliff on the call. He's not going to get there. He got swarmed by that Mount Union front seven. Well, Kevin Bullis and Whitewater decided to run the football from their own 22 on 4th and 7, and it was knocked down right now by the Mount Union front seven.
Well, just the pressure. Look at the push that they've got up front, led by Tom Lally and company, to get Ratliff stopped before he could even get started. I mean, Ratliff right here in the backfield, there's a lot of pressure. Tom Lally and company getting up there, and everybody on that Mount defense knew that Ratliff was going to get the football.
Well, if you weren't with us at the top of the telecast today, again, the first two possessions, Wisconsin-Whitewater, excellent drives featuring Ratliff throwing the football from Nelson. Now, they didn't get what they wanted, the TDs, but they were able to put 6 points on the board with 2 field goals and have just been stymied ever since. It's carry number 31 on the afternoon for Logan Nemeth. Nemeth got 6 more down near the 16-yard line. 205 yards now for Logan Nemeth. So 218 last week, couple of touchdowns, over 200 again today.
Looks like Logan Nemeth on the sidelines going down to the ground. Maybe he's cramping up a little bit because he's got so many carries. In fact, I think that's exactly what he's doing. Wearing him out today with all those carries, and those calves and hamstrings tend to tighten up on you. I remember those days when I was a high school running back.
Yeah, so
30 carries.
Bradley Mitchell and Jamal Johnson in, and this is Jamal Johnson. Well, Johnson on the year, that's his 57th carry out of New Philadelphia here in the state of Ohio, 170-pound sophomore, so his first carry of the afternoon. It'll be 3rd down and 1 now as we come inside 9 minutes left. You made an interesting point earlier on. Again, this gaudy offense for Mount Union, and now it's about, they don't huddle, but it's about pulling
Pump the brakes.
You pull the foot off the accelerator a little bit.
Yeah, there's no need. Look at the play clock. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. You want to use as much time as you can.
And now Therese Scott's going to take a timeout.
Mount Union.
Well, again, you got some different personnel groupings in there with the backup running backs, Jamal Johnson and Bradley Mitchell. All right, we'll step aside with Mount Union on the verge of blowing this thing wide open here, mid-4th quarter. Certainly hope you're enjoying the NCAA Division III Football Championship presented by our good friends at Northwestern Mutual. Mount Union with a 29-6 lead and looking for more as we approach 8.5 minutes left. And this is quarterback Therese Scott on 3rd and 1. He's got the first down as he bounced off a tackle inside the 10-yard line.
It looked like Paul Foster had him dead to rights in the backfield. Scott just bounces off it, picks up the first down, and continues to grind away some of this clock.
As you see, Logan Nemeth back in the football field. What a day he has. What a workload he's had all day long.
That's an IV type of day. Getting the cramps off on the sidelines. So would not be surprised if he's
Fluids.
not at Alliance Community Hospital after this game getting an IV.
On a 60-degree afternoon, Nemeth with power, just running that power ISO that is such a staple of the Mount Union offense down through the years. You know, we think back to some of the tremendous performance of the quarterbacks, Jim Ballard and Bill Borchert, that have been, marvelous in running the offenses. And then look at the running backs in this program. Nate Kamick, Chuck Moore, Dan Pugh, all of the career leaders in this Mount Union program. Nemeth will explode into the end zone. Touchdown, Logan Nemeth.
Michael, what toughness from Logan Nemeth to go off to the sideline. He's cramping up in a game that is pretty much well in hand. Wants to be back in there, back in the game to get these carries. And that one will pretty much put this one away. But Nemeth has just been absolutely stunning today from the running back position for Mount Union. Terrific, terrific performance. All-time day for Logan Nemeth.
He's backed him up in the quarterfinal win, as we said, Wesleyan. And now today, Logan Nemeth sets a career high for carries. He's been in the end zone twice, and he has been the bellwether, the driving force with his 214 yards and a couple of touchdowns. All Mount Union coming down the stretch. The NCAA Division III Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. On a 60-degree that's right, 60 degrees, Northeast Ohio on this December the 12th. It's all been about that young man and his offensive mates, Logan Nemeth. Just a 22-yard drive with more power, Dustin Fox.
Power running behind left guard Michael Frank, number 67, left tackle Brooks Jenkins and company. They have been so impressive to me today. And I'll be honest with you, I've been surprised, Michael. I thought coming into this game, Wisconsin-Whitewater up front, especially with their offensive line, as big and physical as they are, and their defensive tackles, Tamzit and Franz, I thought they'd be able to at least control that line of scrimmage, make it be a defensive struggle, and I've been blown away and very impressed with Mount Union's offense and really the way that they have been able to go about their business today, taking it to this Wisconsin-Whitewater defense, especially up front.
Very stout, stingy defense. As we said, they only allow 12 points a football game on the year. Don't even allow 100 yards rushing against their opposition. 98 on the year. And, of course, we showed you Logan Nemeth over 200 on the day. So with 7:25 left, this Wisconsin-Whitewater football squad in danger of trying to repeat their back-to-back championships. And they will run their backup tailback, Gerard Ware. Ware got stopped at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Michael, watch this defense. Watch these guys flow to the football and fill their gaps. Watch Hank Spencer come outside, fills his gap right there, inside. And then all of a sudden, you got the inside backer, Jonathan Gunnell, comes in and finishes it off. That's how you play defense.
Nelson going to put it up. Got picked off. He was looking for Brent Campbell and intercepted by Will Heitschuh, the second pick of the day.
First interception of the season for Heitschuh, the senior from Medina, Ohio. A little bit of desperation here from Chris Nelson trying to get the football down the seam to his tight end, Brent Campbell, and Heitschuh comes over, playing that too high safety, attacks the football at its highest point. Tries to, at least. The ball's coming down a little bit, and Heitschuh with another turnover for the Purple Raider defense.
Yeah, it was 12 months ago in Salem, Virginia, when Wisconsin-Whitewater offensively showed behind quarterback Matt Barrett last year. They put 43 up on Mount Union and forced 5 Mount Union turnovers in winning. For then head coach Lance Leipold, a second consecutive Stag Bowl Division III championship last year. But unless they have some kind of miraculous finish in them, they are not going to get that opportunity to three-peat.
You know, you're talking to some of the folks around campus here in Alliance, Michael, you get the sense that this may be the most talented team they've had here in quite some time.
Now that's saying something.
And it's saying something because
that is really saying something.
Because you realize how talented these teams have been, led by Kevin Burke and company, but in terms of just the skill positions and more importantly the defense up front, offensive line, Logan Nemeth being healthy at tailback, they've got a real shot here, I think, to go down to Salem and play whoever wins this afternoon between Linfield and St. Thomas.
Yeah, they've lost in back-to-back years, as we said. This is Bradley Mitchell. Mitchell tries to wiggle his way near that 40-yard line. Mitchell got 1 to bring up 3rd down and short. We're inside 6 minutes left. Turnovers really got Mount Union last year in that loss to Wisconsin-Whitewater. How about Lance Leipold, though, the 6. And boy, Vince Karras, you know, he dropped the last 2.
He did.
To Lance Leipold, and Leipold with the 6 national championships in an 8-year span.
Well, think about this, though. I mean, Vince Karras has his father, who's in the booth right next to us up here to our left. And Vince Karras is on a headset and can provide advice whenever he wants during the game down to the sideline to Vince.
Mitchell, good wiggle to the outside as he speeds outside those numbers and picks up another Mount Union 1st down. 14 more yards for Bradley Mitchell.
He's starting to get healthier and healthier, and he looks at right here as he shows some wiggle and the bounce outside. Dylan Morang just does his best job to sort of make that tackle on the edge. But back to my point I was making about Vince Karras and Larry. Larry's here in the building, is able to provide that advice. Kevin Bullis, during the game, he can't just text Lance Leipold up at UB and ask for advice. Huge advantage for a first-time head coach to be able to have your mentor really help you. Now, we talked to Kevin Bullis during the pregame, and he said they're in constant communication during the week with Lance Leipold and Brian Borland, who was a defensive coordinator here at Whitewater last season as well.
Yeah, an excellent staff, of course, that Lance Leipold has put together. As you see Bradley Mitchell gaining 6 on the 1st down carry to bring up 2nd down and 4. We're inside 5 minutes left, and coming up on Tuesday for this Mount Union Purple Raiders football program, a trip that's all very familiar for them. Leaving the state of Ohio and heading south to Salem, Virginia to compete for a national championship in D3.
That's been a common trend for both of these teams to make it there. You take a look at the most Division III titles. Boy, 11 national championships for Larry Karras.
Look at Mitchell again on the bounce to the outside and finally take it down as Matt Seitz made the hit on the boundary at the 14-yard line. So Bradley Mitchell just tacking on more of this impressive run game performance today from Mount Union.
I know you and I were completely shocked and surprised by this performance. We kind of expected a game that would come down to the 4th quarter. We've been talking to people this week on the radio, television here locally, that we expected a 4th quarter battle, and I'm surprised. I thought it would be a game where whoever had the football last would win the game. Did not expect this.
No, neither one of us did. Mitchell again. Oh, how about that hit coming up from the secondary for Vince Mason of Whitewater. Mason, a rugged 190-pound corner out of Green Bay, laid the pads on Mitchell here.
Hey, listen, a lot of credit to Kevin Bullis and their staff, Rob Erickson, defensive corner. These boys are playing hard. I mean, they are. This is, Coach Karras said this is not a rivalry. It's more of a game where it's about mutual admiration for each team. Look, these teams understand how difficult it is to get in this position, and you better believe that all those folks on the Warhawks sideline and the fans who made the trek down here to Alliance, Ohio, are going to remember this game, and it will be motivation for them as they go through the offseason and prepare to come back next year.
Jamal Johnson running that power ISO play out of the pistol that is so familiar to the Mount Union offense. So we've seen a heavier dose of Bradley Mitchell and Jamal Johnson here in the fourth quarter after the second and final Logan Nemeth touchdown blew this thing open here mid-fourth.
Get a look at Jeff Dart, their offensive coordinator.
Tremendous job by Jeff Dart.
You think they put up 36 points. They're 20 points under their average.
Yeah. But it's going to be enough on this day. Johnson, as he got tracked down from the backside, as making that stop again was Trevor Boyle. Boyle's had a strong performance defensively today for Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Just run the ball here, Michael. No need to bring out the field goal unit at this point. Talk about that mutual admiration for each program.
They'll let the play clock run down, still at just at 20. Fourth down at 7. Therese Scott with the offense back in the football field. Play clock at 2. Johnson got stacked up. Football will go over on downs on that fourth down carry with 1 minute and 24 seconds left, and Kevin Bullis is going to get a lot of his twos, his second unit in the football game offensively.
Get some guys some experience, allow them the opportunity to be on the field in a playoff game, to kind of get the taste of it here. Division III semifinal atmosphere. Michael, incredible atmosphere, by the way, here in Alliance, Ohio at Mount Union Stadium, near sellout. Maybe even more than a sellout, I'll be honest with you. You look at around the track, I mean, standing room only. But getting some of these guys in here, getting some action.
Yep, we'll give you a good look at Cole Wilbur. He's a true freshman out of California. How about that? Dana Points, a young man from Cali, making his way into the Wisconsin-Whitewater program and firing incomplete on first down.
Intended for Ryan Stordo.
Well, we got a second. We certainly want to thank the gentlemen that helped us in our preparation all week long. Chris Lindicke, the Director of Athletic Communications for Wisconsin-Whitewater, and Lenny Reich here at Mount Union. Yeoman work from both of them. Now running the football with this burst is Nick Patterson. Patterson, the senior, out of Sussex, Wisconsin, just got 22 yards to match his number as he picks up the first down.
There's a good little burst here outside.
Well, Cole Wilbur, the true freshman now, the backup to Chris Nelson. Nelson's got another year, though, a junior. Wilbur's going to drill it deep, and he got intercepted. Wilbur's intercepted and picked off by Mount Union's Brian Groves. We saw Groves earlier. He got in there in that dime package and just came up with the third Mount Union INT of the day.
And then Groves getting a lot of playing time today. Some of the injuries there on defense, and Groves is stepping up in nickel situations. Second interception of the year. As you mentioned, Michael, third turnover of the day. You win the turnover margin in a game of this magnitude, it's a good chance you're going to come out on the winning end. How about this moment right here on the sideline, though, Michael? Take a look at the Wisconsin-Whitewater players and the coaching staff. They're coming together. They're talking about this moment. I've been in these situations as a player before where you're not happy with the situation, but you can learn from it. And he's basically telling these guys, remember this moment. Remember the situation, how bad you feel about looking at that scoreboard on the road and coming back next season. That's going to be motivation for these guys. Michael, I would not be surprised if these two teams are meeting in December next year.
Of course not.
Why would we?
This Wisconsin-Whitewater football team, you could make a case over the last 10 years. And again, now they've won 6 national championships to Mount Union's 3. So what Lance Leipold started, of course, Kevin Bullis and his staff continuing. Congratulations to Vince Karras and the Purple Raiders of Mount Union. They lost the last 2 years to the Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawks in Salem, Virginia. The last time they won was 2012. They're going to have an opportunity to win yet another national championship to bring home to this campus here in Alliance, Ohio. That's a most impressive and in many ways dominating performance as you can ring up yet another win for Vince Karras and the Mount Union Purple Raiders. a 36-6 victory over Wisconsin-Whitewater.
And his first win over Wisconsin-Whitewater. 2 losses, the only 2 losses Vince has had as the head football coach here at Mount Union. I'm sure a huge relief and maybe monkey off the back, so to speak, to get this first win against Whitewater, and he knows what is looming. There's one more game. One more game ahead. They'll wait the winner this afternoon in the other semifinal that's going to begin in about a half an hour here. But a terrific performance by Mount Union. Nothing for Wisconsin-Whitewater to hang their hat about. Terrific year. They were able to bounce back after the long streak of wins, 36 in a row, to come back and, boy, how about that jewelry case?
Yep, they'll seek their 12th Division III national championship. Going back to when they won their first with, of course, Larry Karras, the head football coach, Vince's dad, back in 1993. For Wisconsin-Whitewater, a huge salute to the Warhawk program. Yeah, their chance to three-peat has been negated, as you see the Mount Union students celebrating by rushing the football field here at Mount Union Stadium. But as we said, this Wisconsin-Whitewater program, they don't have to reload. They just retool a little bit, and maybe they did that starting with that meeting just a moment ago that you were pointing out.
They always say it's a little cliche, but tradition never graduates. And both of these programs have tremendous tradition, and it's all about kind of rebuilding, retooling, as you say, Michael, and they'll go back to the drawing board. Kevin Bullis, first-year head coach, having to work with a first-year starting quarterback, replacing Matt Barrett, a 2-time All-American, 2-time national championship quarterback. That's tough to deal with. A couple of new coordinators had to come in. Obviously, Craig Smith offensively, Rob Erickson defensively, and they had to figure out what they were going to do. This is a huge learning moment for the Warhawk program, but believe me, 6 national championships with this program, they will bounce right back.
Yep. They are going to make their 12th consecutive appearance. Wins in 2005, 2006, 2008, 2012, as we were talking about it. Now they've got an opportunity to grab that brass ring again to the Purple Raiders of Mount Union. And again, a little bit of a dichotomy today, because as this football game started in the first quarter, it was a dominant first quarter for the Warhawks of Wisconsin-Whitewater. We're pleased to be joined by the victorious head football coach of the ultra-successful Mount Union Purple Raiders program, Vince Karras. Congratulations. And again, after the start where Whitewater ran the football very well in the opening quarter, what was it defensively that you got adjusted so impressively that was able to, after those first 2 drives, Vince, you shut them down in a monumental way?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple plays there that broke out. We got the wrong personnel, and that happens sometimes. They change personnel a lot, but our guys kept their poise. And I said that at halftime, and I really sincerely think that was the difference in the game. We were poised the whole game. We didn't turn the ball over, and we played a great 4-quarter game.
Coach, 42-2 in your career. 2 of those losses against Wisconsin-Whitewater. Are you going to feel about 20 pounds lighter tonight as the huge relief is off your back now? You got your first win, and now you guys head down to Salem.
It does. It feels good, but I got tremendous respect for that program, and I've been on the other side of it. And this is two good teams playing a really clean, classy game, I think.
Vince, you mentioned as we met this week, you and your offensive coordinator, Jeff Dart, you were saying of Therese Scott, we got to look for explosion plays. We've got to have an opportunity to make our zone read, really challenge that defense on the edge. You got a spot, would you say, mission accomplished today with that?
Yeah, I think we did a good job of that, and our tempo maybe tired them out a little bit, and they had a tough time getting their calls in. And Logan Nemeth and Tyree Scott, those guys running the football, they just did an outstanding job for us today. And we take a lot of stuff for being a little bit undersized, but I thought our O-line and D-line played pretty good today.
Vince, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great trip to Salem, and best of luck in the Stag Bowl.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
That's Vince Karras, the head football coach of the Mount Union Purple Raiders. We're going to come back and bring you more from this 36-6 Division III Mount Union semifinal win over Wisconsin-Whitewater. Your final numbers read 36-6. The Mount Union Purple Raiders, after they trailed 6-0 and put 36 unanswered on the board in this win over Wisconsin-Whitewater. And Logan Nemeth was absolutely phenomenal today. with his downhill run abilities.
Well, they needed to ride the horse. Logan Nemeth answered the bell in a big way. Career day for carries, career day on the ground as well, and also got into the end zone a couple times and has now put them in position to win the first national championship here under the Vince Karras era.
Yep, well, they've had a couple opportunities at 13 and 14 and weren't able to grab the brass prize. Wisconsin-Whitewater beat them in both. So it sets up, coming up here on Watch ESPN, ESPN 3, 3:30 Eastern kickoff. Linfield, Oregon against St. Thomas from Minnesota, and the winner gets Mount Union next week in Salem, Virginia. Certainly hope you enjoyed this fabulous afternoon of Division III football. To watch this entire game on replay as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Now for our producer David Ashbrook, director Howard Miller, Dustin Fox, all of our terrific crew. I'm Michael Regai. Thanks for watching, everybody. Mount Union's going to the Stag Bowl. It's been a presentation of ESPN. So long.